we all have the program sent to you in advance. I was myself a student of language, literature, and culture in the last century. So I have been associated with JNU for over 32 years. I had pleasure of teaching there as well, momentarily, briefly, not on permanent basis. But then I taught at Guru Dev Tagore's University, Delhi University, and for last 13 years, I'm teaching here. I would request everybody to please mute yourself. Zoom is better because then the host has the capacity to force you to mute. On Cisco. I can mute, but then you can unmute. So there is a problem, but I'm sure in this August gathering where everybody is learned, I can see vice chancellors, in fact, Chancellor, Professor Kapil Kapoor, he was a chancellor, and several bureaucrats, several professors, proctors, and very, very senior people, almost from every every continent, if not country. I can see people here from Australia, Europe, and USA, as well as Russia. So I'm delighted. As you know, this webinar today is about language, about cultures, and how languages unite the whole country. India is a country of languages. It is a country which is called as for unity in diversity. How problematic and how monotonous it would have been if in the whole country there was only one language or two languages. It would have been like we dressing all of us in white color or yellow color or red color, just one color. The country, our country is beautiful because of the languages, because of the culture, because of diversity, and because everything else. Although India, many people may think, is the country with maximum languages in the world, but that is not the case. There are some other countries where more languages are spoken, and I was myself startled. But there are 120 languages in India which are spoken by more than 10,000 people. So that's a big number. Then, obviously, Hindi and English is lingua franca, and this is not the time for me to lecture. So what I will do, that according to our program, I will invite Dr. Mahib, who is obviously part of our JNU fraternity, to deliver his welcome address. I must say that Dr. Mahib has been pivotal, has been absolutely a gem in organizing these wonderful webinars during very difficult, unprecedented times of not only our country, but in the whole world. This is, I think, 13th or 14th webinar we are organizing in last 6 months. I was the one who was present, and I also moderated when we started the first webinar this year, when the Cabinet Minister General V.K. Singh, the real Babbar Sher of India, he came personally, and he came 3 times at least in a span of just 3 months. So without a further ado, I have a pleasure now to invite Dr. Mahib to welcome all the seniors, all the friends, all the professors, all the bureaucrats, and everybody. So Dr. Mahib, over to you, please.
Thank you so much, sir. Honorable Union Minister of Textiles, Women and Child Development, Government of India, Shrimati Smriti Irani Madam, respected Director of JNU, Professor Rana Pratap Sir, Excellencies, eminent scholars, distinguished guests, notable delegates, respected life members of alumni of JNU, as esteemed JNU alumni friends, all the viewers, listeners, and participants from the different parts of the globe, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of alumni of JNU, I, Dr. Mahib, the convener of this 14th edition of AAJ Webinar series at JNU, New Delhi, welcome you all to participate in this very interesting, courteous, fascinating, very insightful, and most relevant topic of today's webinar, role of language, literature, and culture for self-reliant India, and launch of 2 books authored by our JNU alumni friends. We have with us Professor Kapil Kapoor sir, the chairperson of Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, Rashtrapati Bhavan, Shimla, who is considered one of the most authoritative intellectual of English literature and celebrated Indologist. A warm welcome to Sri Bhargav Mitra sir, who is a distinguished alumni of JNU and diplomat by profession. Sir is recently posted at Alumni of India at Tashkent, Uzbekistan. We have with us Ambassador Abhay Kumar sir, who is our JNU alumnus and a poet diplomat. He is India's ambassador to Madagascar and ambassador to Comoros right now. He has served in different diplomatic capacities earlier in Russia, Nepal, and Brazil. He's published huge collections of poetry. His writings consist of poetry, art, memoir, global democracy, and digital diplomacy. His Earth Anthem has been translated into more than 50 languages and was played at the United Nations to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Earth Day. We have with us an acclaimed scholar, Professor Dhananjay Kumar Singh, who is the chairperson of the Center for English Studies and chief proctor at our alma mater, JNU. He is a renowned figure in the world of English literature, and his in-depth and research and analysis in the field of Indian culture is well acknowledged globally. I would like to express sincere gratitude to Sri Sandeep Mahapatra sir, who is leading expert of Indian Constitution and international law. He was the president of JNU Student Union in 2001-2. Sir is senior advocate at Delhi High Court. It is a proud moment for alumni of JNU that 2 books authored by our esteemed alumni, Avasthis of Amnagri by Ms. Shubha Sharma Madam, and Discovering the Heritage of Assam by Kumar Padmpani Boraji. Both are civil servants and manage time to write and publish their books. It's a stupendous achievement in itself. Ms. Shubha Sharma Madam is in Indian Administrative Service of 1999 batch, Odisha color. She is Commissioner cum Secretary, Handloom, Textiles and Handicrafts, Government of Odisha. Her debut book, Fly on the Wall and Other Stories, was released in 2013 and was translated into Hindi and Italian. It received rave reviews from readers and critics alike. Her body of work displays strong characters and reflects the changing times that confront us. This is her second novel. Sri Kumar Padmpani Bora is in Indian Revenue Services of 2009 batch, and is currently posted as Deputy Secretary to the Government of India, Ministry of Textiles. Mr. Boraji has a deep interest in writing, and his favorite subjects are finance, political economy, and Northeast India. The book Discovering the Heritage of Assam takes a comprehensive repository of knowledge about the nature, culture, and traditions that symbolizes the true essence of Indian state of Assam. The book contains beautiful photographs and informative illustrations of the various heritage sites of Assam. This book is considered the only source that covers wide varieties of heritage sites present in Assam in a single volume. The book is forwarded by mega star of India cinema, Honorable Shri Amitabh Bachchan ji. On behalf of all administration of JNU, my heartiest congratulations to Shubha Madam and Kumar Padmpani sir. A very warm welcome to Honorable Minister Madam. We are immensely grateful and highly appreciating your gracious presence to share your views and ideas, vista and vision on the theme of our webinar, the role of language, literature and culture for self-reliant India, and request to launch our books by JNU alumni. A big thanks for appreciating and accepting our invitation and for giving your readily consent to be the chief guest of this webinar. Madam, you are truly grateful to you for managing your time amid extremely busy schedule of duties and responsibilities to the nation. It is our great honor to have you with us to dignify, magnify, and add value to our webinar today. We pay highest gratitude to Madam Minister for her kind consideration. We are thankful to JNU Director Rana Pratap sir and owe a lot to JNU administration to be always very kind and helpful to us. Many of the dignitaries and distinguished speakers who are also sharing their time with us in this event. It is very nice gesture. Much appreciated that they prefer to devote their invaluable time with us over other commitments in their public, personal, social, and professional obligations to render stimulation and appreciation to the family across the globe. I would like to express my most sincere gratitude to each one of you for your presence and participation in this webinar ceremony as the gateway to the initiation to our academic deliberation. Now, I would like to invite our General Secretary, Dr. Dheeraj Kumar Singh sir, to express his remark. Thank you so much. Jai Hind. General Secretary of Alumni of JNU, Dr. Dheeraj Kumar Singh sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahibji, for your kind remarks. Namaskar and a very good evening to you all, and hope that God bless you with great health and prosperity. This year has taken its toll on all of us in one way or other. As the year is passing by, we all are able to realize the importance of life, our family, our cultural values, our education, and ultimately our relations. The year has taught us to become self-reliant individuals and take our dreams to a whole new path and move up on the ladder of success. There are many people who think much and have so much perceptions in their mind about various things across our globe, be it humanity, culture, languages, and many other aspects. Whatever comes in our mind in terms of our struggles, our achievements, those things can be penned down so that it can become meaningful for others. Today, our JNU, the official Alumni Association of JNU, has organized this national webinar on the topic, the role of language, literature, and culture for self-reliant India. As per the clarion call of our Honorable Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi ji, self-reliant India and skill development are two aspects that go hand in hand, and each individual will be better equipped to handle the upcoming future situation. Our population of around 130 crores have many literate people, and after making themselves self-reliant, they should come up and help others who are not so fortunate and not so privileged, so that the onerous goal of self-reliant India gets achieved. We are so highly obliged and honored today to have with us our chief guest, Srimati Smriti Jubin Irani ji, who is the Honorable Union Minister of Textiles and Women and Child Development, Government of India. It is again a proud moment for Alumni Association of JNU to have such an eminent and elegant personality with us in this webinar. Our moderator for today will be Dr. Yukteswar ji from University of Bath, United Kingdom, who will be taking the proceedings further. I would like to thank all the organizing committee members for planning and organizing this event and appreciate the efforts put in by all. I would like to quickly introduce today's panel with us, Professor Rana Pratap Singh ji. He is Rector, Pro Vice Chancellor of JNU. Professor Kapil Kapoor ji, he is the Chairperson of Indian Institute of Advanced Study, Rashtrapati Niwas, Shimla. Sri Abhay Kumar ji, he is an IFS and Indian Ambassador to Madagascar and Comoros. Sri Sandeep Mahapatra ji, he is former JNU-SU President and Senior Advocate of Supreme Court. Ms. Shubha Sharma ji, she is an IS and Commissioner cum Secretary Handloom, Textiles and Handicrafts, Government of Odisha. Sri Kumar Padmapani Bora ji, he is an IRS and Deputy Secretary, Minister of Textiles, Government of India. Professor Dhananjay Singh ji, he is the Chairperson of Center for English Studies and Chief Proctor of JNU. Sri Bhargav Mitra ji, he is Counselor, Embassy of India, Tashkent, and other esteemed guests and speakers. I would like to thank all the eminent guests, chief guests, panel of speakers for their consent, for being part of this national webinar and sharing their valuable thoughts amongst us. Alumni Association of JNU has always made their alma mater proud by its accomplishments. With the kind of outreach and 80,000 plus alumni network we have across the globe, we are sure that society is in good hands and we all are working towards building a sustainable ecosystem, which will have self-reliant individuals who can take this journey forward for country's betterment. These webinars are just a medium to connect with you all and gather the thoughts and ideas and culminate them into reality. There will be two major events today. Firstly, we have this national webinar planned, and secondly, there will be unveiling and launching of two books. Hope you all will have a great time. Now the time has come to take a step ahead and help others in the society to make them all self-reliant. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Over to Yukteswar ji.
Good.
Over to Yukteswar ji.
Jai Hind, Jai Hind, Dhiri ji. Thank you very much. We are absolutely delighted to have such a brilliant galaxy of real stars from different walks of lives. I will not waste my time. Today, the president of JNU Alumni Association, he is not in, the capital is not in Delhi, and he is somewhere where the internet is not very good. So he had sent to us a recorded message, and I would now request kindly to the host to play his recorded message to all of us, please. It should not be more than 2-3 minutes. Yes.
Namaskar. As President JNU Alumni Association, I welcome you all to the 14th edition of webinar series at JNU on the role of language, literature and culture for self-reliant India. It is our proud privilege to have Union Minister for Textiles and Women and Child Development, Government of India, Srimati Smriti Irani ji, amongst us as chief guest. Besides, we have several other academicians, distinguished panelists and speakers, which include, first and foremost, my guru and respected Professor Kapil Kapoor sir, who is currently Chairperson IIAS Shimla. My JNU Rector, Dr. Rana Pratap Singh ji, Professor Dhananjay Singh ji, Chairperson Center for English Studies, JNU, Sri Abhay Kumar, IFS, and currently Indian Ambassador to Madagascar and Comoros, Sri Sandeep Mahapatra, former JNU President and now Senior Advocate, Delhi High Court. This webinar assumes all the more importance as two of our learned alumni have their books all set to be launched today, making our alma mater JNU proud. Our alumni, Ms. Subha Sharma, she is a 1999 batch IAS officer of Odisha cadre, currently holding the post of Commissioner cum Secretary Handloom, Textiles and Handicrafts, Government of Odisha. She has authored the book The Avasthij of Aam Nagri, which is her second book. Besides her academic pursuits, Subhaji has diverse interests from yoga to swimming to traveling to bonsai collections. This book is being launched today. Avasthi of Amnagri gets us a vivid description of how the Indian family is disintegrating and is on the verge of extinction. And the second book being launched belongs to Sripan Pani Vohra, a 2009 batch IRS officer and currently Deputy Secretary in Ministry of Textiles, Government of India, who has authored a Discovering the Heritage of Assam, whose foreword has been written by the great Bollywood legend Sri Amitabh Bachchan ji. Mr. Bora's book dwells on Assamese nature, culture, tradition, heritage in great detail. In fact, his book is a coffee table book divided in 5 heritage chapters: ancient, medieval, modern, natural, and living heritage. Besides, Mr. Bora is an avid reader, writer, and motivational speaker, specializing in fields of finance, taxation, political economy, etc. I don't want to prolong my speech and delay the program for which you all are eagerly waiting. But before I conclude, I would like to make a special mention about 2 things. One, we'll urge all our JNU alumni across the globe to become life members of AAJ and thereby strengthen alumni association of JNU, which is completely a neutral platform where each one of you will have complete freedom to pursue your own hobby and ideas and take them to logical conclusion. Secondly, I must thank my AAJ friends, our General Secretary especially, Dr. Dheeraj Kumar Singh, our AAJ EC member Dr. Mahib, our AAJ member Sri Bhargav Mitra, a Government of India official who has just been posted to Tashkent, and our AAJ Vice President Sri Vinod Kumar Singh, an IRS officer who chose to quit his job to pursue his other hobbies, for their unstinted support to make this webinar a grand success. Besides, unequivocal technical and secretarial support from Mr. Biju Philip, Mr. Amit Saharan, and Mr. Satyendra Rawat. I am sure you all would agree that there would be several takeaways and many positivities, notwithstanding COVID-19 pandemic, to take us all forward to making our country, India, Atmanirbhar Bharat. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Namaskar.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And I would also like to echo the words, ditto really, that those who are associated with JNU, please join Alumni Association of JNU. The JNU has produced almost 82,000 real stars of the country. And if you join at the hand of ours, that will be great. Without further delay, now I have the pleasure of inviting the rector, Professor R.P. Singh, who has also served as the Dean of Students of our university. He is a professor of the School of Life Sciences, and he's also an adjunct professor of the Central University of Gujarat. His area of interest is understanding the mechanism of carcinogenous developments to find novel targets which could be affected by natural agents to inhibit cancer progression and metastasis. This could be a bit technical words for those who have not much interest in microbiology and cancer, but Professor R.P. Singh's contribution to the research of cancer in India has been immense. His laboratory's efforts have been devoted not only towards screening the natural compounds or chemopreventative agents, but also provided mechanistic insights into their mode of action. His laboratory has established good in vitro, in vivo, and ex vivo model system. I teach a bit of in vitro and in vivo. That's why I wanted to say about that. So his contribution, both as a senior management at the university, as a teacher, as a researcher, is great. And he has always given us time and be present to address our webinars. So I now invite Professor Rana Singh ji to deliver his talk for 5 minutes. Thank you.
डॉक्टर युक्तेश्वर जी, मेरा परिचय देने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपको। आदरणीय केंद्रीय मंत्री महोदया श्रीमती स्मृति जुबिन ईरानी जी, आज अध्यक्ष राजेश जी, श्री विनोद जी, डॉक्टर धीरज जी, डॉक्टर महीप जी, श्रीमती सुभा शर्मा जी, श्री पद्मपाणी बोरा जी, श्री अभय कुमार जी, प्रोफेसर कपिल कपूर जी, who has been torchbearer for the change in JNU, प्रोफेसर धनंजय सिंह जी, श्री संदीप महापात्रा जी, डॉक्टर भार्गव मित्रा जी, JNU के सभी एलुमनाई गण, विद्यार्थी, प्रतिष्ठित अतिथिगण, प्रख्यात विद्वगण एवं समस्त प्रतिभागीगण, JNU की ओर से मैं आप सभी का हार्दिक स्वागत करता हूं। JNU से मेरा जुड़ाव छात्र जीवन से ही रहा है और पिछले 15 वर्षों से मैं यहाँ पे अध्यापन और शोध का कार्य कर रहा हूँ। साथ ही पिछले कुछ वर्षों से प्रशासनिक पदों पर भी काम करने का सौभाग्य रहा है। आप हमारी पूर्व शिक्षा मंत्री भी हैं, इसलिए आपको यह सुनकर अचंभा नहीं लगेगा कि शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में काम करने वाले की स्वयं की शिक्षा अनवरत चलती रहती है। हमारा कभी दीक्षांत नहीं होता। वैसे भी भारत की परिपाटी उपनिषद से परिभाषित होती है, जिसका मौलिक भाव सदैव जिज्ञासा की लौ को जलाए रखने का ही होता है। हमारी सभ्यता हमें बताती है कि गार्गी, मैत्रेयी, उद्दालक, नचिकेता और अर्जुन जानने की पिपासा के पीछे पीछे चले हैं। तो आज मैं भी स्वयं को एक छात्र ही मानता हूं और आज मैं एलुमनाई एसोसिएशन का आभारी हूं कि उन्होंने मुझे आप सभी का स्वागत करने का अवसर दिया है। JNU के पूर्व छात्रों को एक मंच प्रदान करने और उन्हें अपने छात्र जीवन का अनुभव बांटने का अवसर देने के लिए आज हमेशा कार्यरत रहता है। आज की जो वेबसाइट है उस पर आज की क्रियाकलापों की जानकारी आसानी से मिलती रहती है। आप सभी को आज जुड़ने के लिए आपका आभार व्यक्त करता हूं और अभिनंदन भी करता हूं। I just like to quote here that get connected and feel related to all the alumni who are else not connected with us. आज के वेबिनार का विषय बहुत ही उत्तम है, द रोल ऑफ लैंग्वेज, लिटरेचर एंड कल्चर। मुझे ज्ञात है कि आप स्वयं एक पॉलीग्लॉट बहुभाषी विदुषी हैं, आपको भाषाओं से लगाव है और आज के राजनीतिक परिवेश में आप एक मधुर, ओजस्वी और प्रभावी वक्ता मानी जाती हैं। भाषा, साहित्य और संस्कृति का विषय गहन होता है और बहुत आयामी भी। JNU में भी भाषा, साहित्य और संस्कृति के नाम से एक संकाय भी है, जहां इन विषयों का गुणात्मक शोध कार्य होता है। भारतीय और विदेशी भाषा, उनके साहित्य, दुनिया के अलग अलग हिस्सों में रहने वाले लोगों और उनकी संस्कृतियों का जो तुलनात्मक अध्ययन है वो इस सेंटर में होता है, स्कूल में भी व्यापक रूप से होता है। इसमें भाषा, साहित्य और संस्कृति के विभिन्न क्षेत्रों को समृद्धि करने के लिए करीब 200 से ज्यादा अंतर्राष्ट्रीय विश्वविद्यालयों के साथ इस स्कूल का सहयोग है। हमारे राष्ट्रपति महोदय जी भी अभी पिछले ही हफ्ते JNU के चौथे दीक्षांत समारोह में कह चुके हैं कि जो भारतीय संस्कृति के सभी रंग हैं वो JNU में दिखाई देते हैं। परिसर में इमारतों को ले लें आप, छात्रावासों, सड़कों या जो सुविधाएं हैं उनके नाम को ले लें, भारतीय विरासत से लिए गए हैं। यह भारत की समृद्ध सांस्कृतिक और भौगोलिक तस्वीर का प्रतिनिधित्व करता है। यह भारतीयता JNU की विरासत है और इसे मजबूत बनाना हमारा कर्तव्य है। मैं अपने शोधकर्ताओं से अनुरोध करता हूं कि वे हमारी भारतीय भाषाओं, उनके साहित्य और हमारी भारतीय संस्कृति पर कुछ गुणवत्तापरक शोध करें। साथ ही साथ ऐतिहासिक, भाषाई, दार्शनिक, आध्यात्मिक, तुलनात्मक अध्ययन और आलोचनात्मक विश्लेषण की भी बहुत गुंजाइश है और जरूरत भी है इसकी। आज के टॉपिक के हिसाब से आत्मनिर्भर भारत के लिए हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी के आह्वान को ध्यान में रखते हुए हमारे देश के स्वावलंबी और आत्मनिर्भर बनाने के लिए एक लंबा रास्ता तय करना है और हमें इसके लिए कठिन परिश्रम भी करना है। आपको यह भी मैं बताना चाहूँगा कि अभी जैसे कहा गया कि जेएनयू में 80,000 से ज़्यादा पूर्व छात्र हैं जिन्होंने पिछले 5 दशकों को अपनी विभिन्न उपलब्धियों से न केवल जेएनयू को गौरवान्वित किया है बल्कि जीवन के विभिन्न क्षेत्रों में भी अपना महत्वपूर्ण योगदान दिया है, जैसे अनुसंधान एवं विकास, विज्ञान और प्रौद्योगिकी, स्वास्थ्य, प्रशासन, उद्योग, सामाजिक, मानविकी, नीति, मीडिया, साहित्य, राजनीति, नेतृत्व, इस तरह से कई सारे क्षेत्र हैं। तो जेएनयू के जो पूर्व छात्र हैं उनसे ये उम्मीद है कि वे अपने योगदान के साथ साथ इस विश्वविद्यालय को आत्मनिर्भर बनाने में जो भी उनकी भूमिका हो सकती है उसके ऊपर भी विचार करना चाहिए। यह हमारे लिए गर्व का क्षण है कि जेएनयू के पूर्व छात्र सुश्री सुभाष शर्मा जी की पुस्तक द अवस्थीज ऑफ आमना नगरी और कुमार पद्मपाणी जी की पुस्तक डिस्कवरी द हेरिटेज ऑफ असम का विमोचन भी है। आज दोनों सिविल सर्विसेज में अपनी सेवा दे रहे हैं। ऐसे व्यस्त जीवन के बीच में जो ये लिखने का और प्रकाशित करने का समय उन्होंने निकाला है, यह एक बहुत ही प्रशंसनीय और सराहनीय उपलब्धि है उनके लिए। सुभाष जी और पद्मपाणी जी को मेरी ओर से हार्दिक बधाई। मैं वेबिनार के 14वें संस्करण के आयोजन पर आज की पूरी टीम को बधाई देता हूं और इस कार्यक्रम की सफलता की कामना करता हूं। एक बार फिर मैं आप सभी का स्वागत और धन्यवाद करता हूं। जय हिंद।
जय हिंद प्रोफेसर सिंह, काफी अच्छा लगा। आप हमेशा हमें उत्साहित करते हैं एंड वी आर डिलाइटेड and will remain grateful for your continuous, consistent support. We are also delighted, and you can all see on your devices, whether you are using a computer or a laptop or a mobile phone, that the youngest cabinet minister today, Madam Smriti Irani Madam, is amidst us, so we welcome her and we all remain thankful to her. I will invite her to speak after some time, just very, very soon. But before that, I would once again reiterate to extend greatest welcome on part of AAJ to Madam Minister. Now, I have pleasure to invite Professor Dhananjay Singh, who did his MA not from JNU but from Itanagar, but he did his research from JNU, and he has been teaching at JNU for many, many years. He also taught at Delhi University. Professor Dhananjay Singh is a poet himself. He has delivered several lectures across the world, United States of America, Europe, and as far as I know, the former or current chairperson of the Korean department was his student as well. He has hold visiting professorships in USA. So I would like to invite Professor Dhananjay Singh, and I saw him when recently Vivekananda's statue was inaugurated through video by the Honorable and the greatest Prime Minister of India, and I saw him moderating the program at that time. Perhaps I'm sure that Professor Singh was there. I've seen him in the video. So the floor is yours, Professor Singh, Professor Dhananjay Singh now.
Thank you so much, Yukteswarji. It's such a pleasure. Honorable Minister Smriti Jumi Irani ji, the most dynamic and visionary leaders that we have seen, especially from JNU, my guru, sir. Every word that I speak his words. You know, and Shubha Sharma ji, director of the university, the Pro Vice Chancellor R.P. Singh ji, my dear friend Padma Pani Bora ji, the I would be speaking about is an honor. Sandeep Mahapatra ji, my senior from JNU, former JNU president, my elder and very respected friend, Professor Rajesh Mishra ji from the Sanskrit school, Abhay Kumar ji, Dheeraj ji, Mahip ji, and all the respected presences here. Well, I've been asked to comment on the theme of the seminar, webinar, and primarily to give my sort of introductory critical comments on the two books that I have been so privileged to have read. Well, coming back to, and I will the time that I have, I would like to reiterate. I would like to mention that the two books that we have are, in fact, manifestations of the major currents of the great Indian intellectual and literary traditions that I have learned from Professor Kapil Kapoor, my guru. Yukteswar ji mentioned I came from Itanagar doing my master's. Had lived in the Northeast for 20 years. And it was Professor Kapoor who actually gave that epistemological cut. I'm again using his phrase. So excuse me if I'll be using some of the phrases. Even harder I try. As he's my guru, as the great Guru Nanak ji says, that Shabd is a guru. My Shabd comes from him. So that's my humble homage, respect to my teacher. Well, literature, culture, language. In the Upanishads, in various Upanishads, there is a pluralistic perspective on speech. Literature in the Indian tradition is Vangmaya because it's a speech composition. Again, the phrase that Professor Kapoor used to use in the class. My point, the way I want to enter this discussion is this: that in the Upanishad, there is a pluralistic discussion as to whether three parts of speech are unheard and one is heard, or one part of speech that we speak is heard and three parts are unheard. Literature, performance, music, and language as meditation, something that the yogis do, make attempt to manifest the unheard part of the speech that we normally speak. That is where literature is born. That is where art is born. That is where performance is born. And since it's the unheard part in the speech, normal speech, obviously, it uses a mode of articulation. It uses a transmutation of experience, which is not possible in any other way. That is why literature, art, and culture produce pleasure, what we call rasa in the Indian tradition. Now, rasa is a common word, obviously. Rasa means experience. Going back to the title of the conference, I would like to say that language, literature, and culture in self-reliant India. What is self as such? Raja Rao, in his very famous book, 1996 book, The Meaning of India, would say that India is not a nation, not simply a desha as it is normally understood, but India is a darshan. India is a darshan, and the climate of India is not mood, but the climate of India is rasa. So rasa and darshan, these are the two key terms for me to speak with the minimum time that I have. The two books that I'm going to discuss today are different manifestations of rasa and darshan of India. When we talk of Atmanirbhar India, India that was invaded, colonized, for instance. Now, English is one of the Indian languages, so that's my defense to speak in English. Is one of the languages. When we talk of Atmanirbhar India, self-reliant India, the self of India that was colonized by use of not only a language, but introducing new terminologies of distinctions. New terminology of distinctions such as classical and popular, for instance. In our tradition, we have Mahabharata. The same narratives come back in Panchtantra, in Buddhist Jatakas. So India, when we talk of India from the perspective of language, literature, and culture, and we talk of self-reliant India, perhaps with a new national education policy, it is time for us to in fact reflect on our own native modes of understanding Indian realities, Indian experiences, and articulating them in a sensibility which is Indian. Now, well, perhaps I could have gone ahead, but my other half of my responsibility is to talk about these two wonderful books that we have today. And as I said, they are manifestations. I place them in the continuing Indian literary and aesthetic tradition. Rajshekhar in 8th century. From there, I will link these two books. Rajshekhar, 8th century Kavya Mimamsa, uses a concept called pravritti. Pravritti, a concept not new to him. It's used by Bharata in the Natya Shastra, where he talks about the regional variations of performance, a text that I teach in JNU, a text that I learned from my guru. Now, Rajshekhar talks of pravritti, and the word pravritti has its connotations in philosophy, especially in Mimamsa. It has its connotation in literature and performance. Pravritti basically means this. Pravritti basically means this: an inherent capacity in a word, an object in a word, an object to manifest or to make manifest or become manifest, by which in literature, by pravritti, what we mean is this, that in this great country of ours, there is a diversity. Obviously, Rajshekhar mentions all the different regions of this country and a specific manifestation, cultural manifestations, and how it is again related to ultimately results into oneness of rasa. The two books that I'm going to talk about today, in fact, are examples, are brilliant examples in their own way, in the great pravritti tradition of India. Now, the first book, obviously, Shubha Sharma's book actually, in fact, which is his title, Avasthis of Amnagri. In fact, it works or portrays the values and fortunes of the eponymous Avasthi family. Its ebb and flow in the pages of what I consider exquisite craftsmanship. Whereas in Padmpani's Boras, my friend's coffee table book, Discovering the Heritage of Assam, Assam itself, in its splendid glory, throughout the history of Indian civilization, manifests in precise prose, interlaced with scintillating phrases, photographs, and visuals that animate the sights, sounds, and colors of Assam. Padmapani's Bora coffee table book is therefore aptly titled. In the words of Amitabh Bachchan, who has been referred, who has written a foreword to the book, it's a comprehensive compilation of Assam. I quote him: the book takes us into the labyrinths of Padmpani's Bora's mind, a journey through cultural consciousness. Even when you read an entry from the book, you'll find that the author is meditating upon an architectural ruins, for instance, and with exquisite, beautiful photographs trying to render the rasa of the place. And so, in Amitabh Bachchan's words, again, cultural consciousness, heritage, faith, beliefs, and traditions of the numerous ethnic tribes and sub-tribes residing in the state. I feel that I see when I read the author's book, is a universal consciousness that travels across time as it depicts and captures images, stories, and forms from the Paleolithic age to the colonial times. His narrative self, in fact, meditates on the aura of the great temples, such as the Kamakhya temple, architectural sites and ruins that have stories long lost in the swaths of eternal time. He notes and sees them with a discoverer's mind and eyes, and lays them with the exactness of page and the photograph. They're brilliant photographs, and I could see from the angle that he's taken these photographs, there is a kind of a consciousness that goes into the fact that how these photographs, how these visuals, in fact, are so central to India. Now, coming to Shubha Sharma's novel, her second work of fiction lives up to the reputation attained by her widely reviewed and critical praised debut book of short stories, Fly on the Wall and Other Short Stories, 2013. In this work, the Avastis of Amnagri, titled The Avasti of Amnagri, is a tour de force, one of the best in the genres of family saga that I have read for its compactness of style and richness of imagination. It portrays the struggles of a traditional Indian family, a sprawling family with three generations living in a dilapidated, ramshackle house, ironically named the palace, that they move into the beginning of the novel. The novel is also representative of a strong female character, aptly named again Shakuntala, a wife, mother, mother-in-law, and grandmother who, like an old banyan tree, I see her like an old banyan tree that holds the offshoots and branches together through trials and tribulations, struggles and conflicts, joys and sorrow. She's no Shakuntala in the novel, the old woman. She's no second fiddle to her husband Panditji, and leads the family with stern control as well as deep, deep affection. In her relationship with Indu, her wise daughter-in-law, but erratic daughters, and her brother, Shakuntala, also called Mataji in the novel, as the novel she moves from being a strong lady to a lonely figure, capable of amazing emotional depth that is rendered in beautiful prose by the author. The most difficult thing for an author is to discover a voice. Shubha Sharma's novel has many voices of the characters, and yet her own voice lurks beneath the beautiful craftsmanship of verse that she has produced. So, my many congratulations both the authors for this wonderful book. Going back to the concept of Pravritti, I'll just read a passage from her novel. Dawn and bathed the cherry-hued Haveli in a dull, hazy glow. Whiffs of mist, common at this time of the year in Amnagri, clung to the bungalow like an oversized clock. The first rise of the day, Gangu Mali was attending to his chores in the garden, unbeknownst that he had a company. It's a beautiful book. Both books are so beautiful, so central to Indian consciousness. Thank you so much for this privilege to read these books and speak to you in presence of such a so many luminaries, including my teacher. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Please unmute Yukteswar ji.
Sorry, I think I was muted. I apologize for that. So thank you very much, Professor Singh. I remember Professor Kapil Kapoor during my time. Professor Kapil Kapoor would remember my guru, Professor Thanchung, who was awarded Padma Bhushan a few years ago. I'm in close touch with him. And even day before yesterday, he participated in a conference. He's 91 this year. And he remembers fondly JNU. We all know that today we are here to release the two books, and these two books would be released by Honorable Minister Madam Irani, who has been the HRD Minister in the past. I will talk about her later on because she will be speaking as well afterwards. But at the moment, I invite her, according to the program with me, to release the two books. We all know that Madam Irani has been the cabinet minister for many years now, and she is, as I called General V.K. Singh earlier many a times, that he is the real Babbars who defeated the filmy Babbars in 2014 election. And if I call General V.K. Singh as the Babbar or tiger, then Madam Irani as the real tigress who defeated by over 50,000 votes to the prominent opposition leader of India in 2019 election, and we will never forget. I am myself an elected councillor, and from her works, I take inspiration. I will speak more about Madam later on, but at the moment, I would invite Madam Irani to release the 2 books. So over to you, Madam. I've sent the request to unmute yourself, Madam.
Thank you so much for your kindness. I hereby declare the opening and dedication to not only the alumni members, but citizens at large, the 2 beautiful books by your alumni members, Shubhaji and Padmapani Bora. My best wishes for the success of the 2 books.
Thank you very much, Madam. We all congratulate both the authors, and we are pleased that both these authors, who are young leaders of our country, in fact, and they have found, as somebody said earlier as well, that despite their bureaucratic works and files and other things, we have the honor that both these IAS and IRS officers, and they both are JNU alumni. JNU has produced literally hundreds and perhaps by now thousands of bureaucrats. So I would like to invite the authors, and the first author is Madam Suha Sharma. She is Commissioner cum Secretary in the Department of Handloom, Textiles and Handicrafts and Government of Orissa. She was alumnus of not only JNU but also of a prestigious Lady Sri Ram College. She is a member of the prestigious IAS service. Very glad to tell you that she is an avid yoga practitioner. She enjoys traveling, swimming, and she has wonderful bonsai collection. This is not her first book, to be honest. This is her second book, Fly on the Wall and Other Stories, which were published about 7 years ago. The book was translated into Hindi and Italian, and hopefully her recent book will be also translated in many other languages, because as you know, language unites cultures and civilizations of different countries. She obviously has written this book, which is the Avasthis of Amnagari, and Professor Dhananjay Singh had beautifully talked about the book, both the books, in fact. The second book, which was, I will talk about that later on, which has a foreword by the mega star of the century, of the millennium, in fact, Amitabh Bachchan. But this one, The Mangoes of Amnagari, is a wonderful book. It is not very, very thick book. It has 188 pages. It is priced only for rupees 350. So books can really open your mind. And although it is a fictional book, but it is very sensually written. And one of the forte of Madam Sharma is that she can suck you into her fictitious world and entertain you to the core. So I invite now the author to speak about her works. Madam.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Minister, Textiles and Women and Child Development, Srimati Smriti Zubin Irani ji, who is a role model and an inspiration for a generation of women seeking their destiny in the global arena. Respected guests, Rajesh Kumar ji, Vinod Singh ji, Dheeraj Singh ji, Professor Kapil Kapoor, Professor Yukteshwar, Professor Rana Singh, Professor Dhananjay Singh, my friends Sandeep, Padmapani, Abhay, Bhargav ji and Dr. Mahib, JNU alumni and friends. It is a privilege for me to have my book, The Avasthis of Amnagari, launched by Madam Irani today. This is my second book but it is my first novel. It is perhaps divine ordination that it should be launched by Madam Smriti Iraniji, who has portrayed Tulsi, perhaps the most loved character in the history of Indian television. This iconic family drama enthralled its viewers every night, week after week for years. Madam the Avasthis of Amnagri shares many facets with Kyunki Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi. There is the autocratic mother-in-law, the wily and manipulative sisters-in-laws, the overworked dutiful daughter-in-law, and all the associated props of jewelry, saris, witty repartee, and whatnot. But the book is laced with humor and makes the reader laugh more than cry, or so I hope. My first book was an anthology of 13 short stories called The Fly on the Wall and Other Stories. It was set against the lush landscape of Assam, Lucknow, and Odisha, places that form an inseparable part of my conscious and subconscious being. Through fiction, I explored relationships, whether between friends or relatives, the problem of Naxalism, marital abuse, and the pitfalls in the lives of government servants, all as a keen observer or a fly on the wall, one that is fascinated by human relationships. In my second book, The Avasthis of Amnagri, I continue the exploration of the human psyche, though in the familiar setting of the home or Panditji's Haveli. It is a story of a middle-class family of lawyers in the city of the mango, the emperor of fruit, or Amnagri. The Avasthis are a large clan headed by Advocate Dinanath, his wife Shakuntala, their 4 sons, 3 daughters, their spouses, children, and myriad pets. The book opens with Panditji, or as Dinanath is referred to, finding a bungalow for his large family. It then follows the Avasthis as they encounter one problem after another, from evading the curse of Lord Vishnu to finding a missing family heirloom. It discusses serious issues such as the vacuum most women face once their children grow up and leave home, or what is commonly referred to as the empty nest syndrome. It forces us to rethink some of our basic beliefs that feminists must be necessarily women, though personally I have found that sometimes the strongest supporter a woman has at home is her husband, father, or father-in-law. It also takes a long, hard look at the manner in which we treat our elderly or those who serve us at home. Yet, the book is not preachy, nor is it a lesson in moral science. It discusses these issues in a light-hearted and engaging manner without getting weighed down by the message that it aims to deliver. When I started writing this book in 2015, I was overcome by a strong sense of loss. I felt I was leading a life on a treadmill. It was a race, an existence, which was more like a passenger in a train where I was looking outside the window at beautiful sights, beautiful people, people that I wanted to connect to, places that I wanted to stop at, but I was not able to get off the train and stop. At the same time, there was a feeling that I was slowly getting distanced from my roots. I was no longer able to attend family functions, weddings, birthdays, small events which add value to your lives. No longer able to meet my family, my extended family, the way I would want to. It was a worrisome situation, and I felt like sand slipping through our fingers. This life, which I had seen as a young child and as a teenager in the beautiful city of Lucknow, was slowly slipping away. So I did what I could do best. I started writing. I tried to capture it in pen and paper and in words before it was lost to me forever. At the same time, it gave me my much needed me time, which was extremely therapeutic. In my book, metaphors and symbolism have played a key role, as they have done in a lot of Indian literature. I have used metaphors liberally. The mango, juicy and succulent, is a delicious treat, much like the Indian family. It is messy, but its taste can never be forgotten. It also comes in multiple flavors, sweet, sour, or tangy, much like our own family members. Similarly, the sari is defined as a metaphor for power. and it clearly indicates the position in the family hierarchy. For an example, an old lady would not wear the grandly woven brocade or rich silks that a newlywed daughter-in-law would. The themes discussed in the Avastis of Amnagri are universal and are found in families all over India. Indeed, I am reminded of the saying, "Kos kos par badle pani, teen kos par bani." That means in our country, at every kos or approximately 3 kilometers, the taste of water changes, and at every 9 kilometers, the dialect. This beautifully sums up the rich cultural and linguistic diversity of our wonderful country. Yet, our core values remain the same: respect for elders, love for the family, willingness to sacrifice our all when the need arises. These remain unaltered, whether one is in Assam or Gujarat, in Kashmir or Kerala. At the heart of the Avastis of Amnagri is the family, which is a microcosm of the universe. One's experiences within the family and clan mold one's personality in more ways than one realizes. It also prepares a person for the outside world. At the same time, the family is the anchor in this vast ocean like world, the sanctuary which one can return to whenever needed. Though the novel was penned between 2015 and 2017, it appears even more relevant today as we grapple with COVID-19 and look for ways in which to remain connected with our loved ones. I hope the readers will enjoy reading the book and it will help them to get rid of some of their stress as they lose themselves with the Avastis in Panditji's Haveli for a few hours. Thank you, ma'am, for giving your precious time today. I am indebted to the Alumni Association of JNU for providing me this platform. Above all, I am in deep debt to my parents, my husband, and my sons who have supported me in all my endeavors. Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am. That's why we thank you very much. And I have read use of the book. I have read part of the book, and I will encourage everybody to go through the works of Madam Sharma, who understand the languages, the diversity, the various languages or dialects spoken in India, and she rightly mentions that हमारे यहाँ करीब-करीब हर एक 3 कोस पे वाणी change हो जाती है. So India obviously is a country of languages and many other aspects. Beautiful metaphors of mangoes, and sari. So I highly recommend that you can understand how a bureaucrat, despite being involved in flurry of files, finds time, and then she finds time and writes a wonderful book. In the same spirit, I would like to now invite the other author, Sri Kumar Padmapani Bora, who is is also from bureaucratic services. He was at JNU at the Center of Political Studies, CPS, as we knew, 2004 to 2006, and then he was in the School of International Studies from 2006 to 9. He has a very deep interest, despite being into the revenue services, in writing poems, political economy, and many other political and social matters of our country. He is not only a writer, but a motivational speaker who has extensively addressed students. And because we are speaking at a platform where of a university, of a central university, and he has delivered lectures as a motivational speaker at prestigious universities like Guwahati University, Royal Global University, Kaziranga University, mostly in Northeast Asia, India. And he was also one of the speaker of TED Talks, which was held in 2018 in Guwahati. A 2009 batch IRS officer who is currently posted as a Deputy Secretary to the Government of India. And the book, he would tell perhaps more to us rather than me, but this is a wonderful book. And discovering the heritage of Assam. It includes and covers wide varieties of heritage sites which are present in Assam. He has written about the Ahoms, who ruled Assam for over 600 years. And this book covers broadly 5 chapters: the ancient period, the medieval period, the modern heritage, the natural heritage, the living heritage. So, and it contains beautiful photographs, as Professor Singh earlier also told us. So now I would like to invite the author of this book, which was released very kindly by Honorable Minister. So I now invite Sri Kumar Padmapani Boraji to talk about his book. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. The Honorable Minister of Textiles and Women, Madam Smriti Zubin Irani ji, Professor Rana Pratap Singh, Professor Kapil Kumar sir, Ambassador Abhay Kumar, my senior Patra ji, Dhananjay Singh sir, and all dignitaries and office bearers of JNU Alumni Association, Subhash Sharma madam. It's indeed a great pleasure for me to be part of this forum and this webinar, and I highly grateful to the Alumni Association JNU for giving this opportunity to get my book released in this August forum, and highly thankful to Honorable Minister Madam for releasing my book. I've been part of this association, JNU Alumni Associations. I think for last 11 years. I left JNU 2009, and I've been have seen that this organization have been constantly working in how to connect the JNU alumni. Actually, they have done numerous work. Various issues of concern they have raised. They have organized webinars and other talks of social importance, the national interest. And during this pandemic time also, this organization has been constantly trying to refresh the intellectual thought process of JNU alumni to organize various webinars with participation of distinguished personalities and guests. So really it's a matter of appreciation for the this association, JNU Alumni Association, as already my seniors have already given my introduction. I belong to 2009 batch of Indian Revenue Service, and I was student of JNU 2004 to 2009. I did my master's from Center for Political Social Sciences from 2004 to 2006, and then I did my MPhil from his School of International Studies, and I joined service in 2009. And I'm highly grateful to JNU also for giving this opportunity to understand and giving the exposure to understand the itself, because India is known for diversity in form of culture, in the form of ethnicity, religion, language, and food habits. And JNU itself, it's like India, because we were in India. All JNUite, they feel that it represents India, and also what is unity in diversity. So that is Indian nation. So JNU taught us what is unity and in diversity. So and today's webinar, that topic is the role of language, literacy, and culture is well thought of. From various angles. As we all know, that our Honorable Prime Minister has made vision for self-reliant India, that is Atmanirbhar Bharat. And in this vision, in achieving this vision, I strongly feel that language, literacy, and culture can play a very important and vital role. And we are eagerly waiting to hear and listen to our Honorable Minister, Madam. Definitely she'll speak on this aspect. So now I would like to go to my book and want to say a few words on my book, how the idea came to my mind, how it got originated and conceptualized. Assam, as I say, the entire north, though we have a very significant history, and culture. It's not my feeling, a general thing that Northeast doesn't have that much of significance presence in the literature, historical literature. So many people from outside, any visitors to Northeast or Assam, I say for Assam, they know only two things: the Kamaikya temple and Kaziranga. Anybody wants to come to Assam, they just ask where is Kamaikya, how to go to Kamaikya, and how to go to Kaziranga. Nothing else. Even the many people, they do not know that the center of the Kshatriya culture, the Majuli itself, the river and island, they don't know what is this Kshatriya culture. So it somehow I thought that there's a gap and there's scope, and a gap has to be filled up with some documented efforts. And I have researched, I searched for the literature, and I found that some coffee table books are there, either on Kaziranga or Majuli, but there is no single source of information to help outsider, other people from India, or rest of the world, to know this very beautiful place in the eastern part of India. So that's how I started the journey. It took almost 2 years to complete this book because I am from a vernacular medium of schooling, so I had an idea of things or heritage things because it's a part of our curriculum. But somehow I want to research more, right? This is concise, this is brief, so that people from outside, they can have a very brief idea of the topic, and I have to focus only the significance points of this historical. So accordingly, I started, and I'm very much thankful to Penguin Books because they accepted the proposal and published the book. And I just want to talk about the book because it is divided into. We've been told. We all know that Assam is a blend of culture, heritage, faith, belief, and traditions of various ethnic groups, and contributed of caste, creed, or religion. So each ethnic group has its own distinct belief, value system, food habits, dressings, language, festivals. There are diversities, but despite diversities, the people of the region live in peace and harmony. Over the ages, Assam was ruled by different dynasties and kingdoms, and this diverse culture of the state attributed to the influence of various dynasties. And heritage of all these periods. So I looked from that angle and divided the chapters from ancient, medieval, and modern. And while making these divisions of various historical sites, I also looked at the natural heritage because we have Kaziranga, heritage traditions. So I'll just like to go to the chapters very briefly. The ancient period heritage that I covered, the Kamaikya temple, is figured in Kalika Puran, considered the most sacred and oldest of 51 Sakti pits on the earth. Ruins of Surya Pahar, that is known as second Kasi. So many people don't know the number of Sivalingas are present in Surya Pahar. And also places, that is a place of confluence of Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. I covered the Daw Parvatiya of 5th and 6th century that is situated in Tejpur. Madan Kamdeva, that is actually belong to 10th century. That is a place known where Kamdeva was reborn. And art of this place have resemblance with the Khajuraho temple. So again, medieval heritage like that belong into Ahom kingdoms, mostly the Ahom kingdoms. That is Ronghor. Ronghor is the oldest surviving amphitheater in Asia, and it is known as Colosseum of East. Shiva temple, situated in Sivsagar district, we have Vaishnavite institutions, just as Namghara. One Namghar that is known as Dhetiapua Bod Namghar, situated in Jorhat. This earthen lamp that has been burning since 1528. Continuously burning and entered into the Guinness Book of World Record. So these are medieval, some of the medieval heritages which are lesser known to the outside world. Modern heritages like North Brook Gate, situated in Guwahati, constructed in 1874 to mark the arrival of Viceroy to India. The Digboy Refinery, principal institutions, and national heritages like Kaziranga National Park, which is one of the UNESCO's World Heritage Site, Manas National Park. We have Gibbon National Park, and national. Again, I cover another topic: the living heritage, that's like the Satriya culture of Majuli, the mass making art of Majuli, and the handloom tradition of Swalkushi, which is known as Manchester of India. So accordingly, I divided all 5 chapters and tried to almost 60 topics in this book as a single source of information on various historical sites in presentation. And I strongly believe that it will help the readers from outside to know Assam, and also help us inside Assam to exhibit the lesser known facts to the outside world, which has historical significance and unique characteristics. So I am highly thankful to the JNU Alumni Association for giving me this opportunity, and I'm looking forward for valuable feedback on the book. And thank you so much, all the participants, especially the Minister Madam. She is also my minister, and Madam, I already presented the book to Honorable Minister Ma'am. So it's a great honor for me to be present in this webinar. Thank you so much to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sri Boraji. Thank you for this time, for explaining to us the wonderful work you have done. We all know about ancient, medieval, and modern things of the country, but you have explained so well in this book, not only ancient, medieval, and modern heritage of Assam, but also natural and living heritage of Assam, and that is wonderful. Now, we are all waiting to listen to the keynote speaker. So we have 3 people before Madam Cabinet Minister Madam speaks. So first is from Professor Kapil Kapoor, who is guru to many of us. We all know he is the authority on Indian intellectual traditions. He is currently the chairperson of the Indian Institute of Advanced Study at Simla. I'm sure many of you have been there, and as a scholar, as a researcher, many of you would go there. He taught for many, many years, and in fact, he has been teaching for over 52 years. That's a huge contribution, is not it? How many people could teach continuously in a higher education setup for over half a century? And we wish that he continues to teach all of us through his writings, through his lectures, through his seminars. He was obviously a professor at my time at JNU and edited many books. He is in fact editor-in-chief of the 11-volume Encyclopedia of Hinduism. So those who are Hindus but who want to understand Hinduism, then they can read the encyclopedic work of Professor Kapoor. His teaching and research areas not only includes literary and linguistic theories, but also the Indian and Western philosophy, the philosophy of language itself, the 19th century British life, and he retired from JNU in 2005, about 15 years ago. But he is in touch with all of us, and today's webinar witness to the fact that the affection, the support, and the encouragement Professor Kapoor gives to all of us. Perhaps half of us present today in this webinar, if not more, are his students. We are proud of you, sir, and floor is yours, sir. Professor Kapoor.
I am very, very beholden to every one of you. मैं कुछ भावों में बह गया, क्योंकि मुझे ये इतना ज्ञान नहीं था कि आज ये ऐसा समय बनेगा कि इतने मेरे जानने वाले, मेरे प्रिय छात्र या मेरे सहयोगी और अति सम्माननीय स्मृति जी और ये दो बच्चे शुभा और पद्म पानी, जिन्होंने इतनी सुंदर पुस्तकों की रचना की, पुस्तकों को ही रचना नहीं की, जो इतने सुंदर ढंग से बड़ी शुभ और शुभ्र वाणी में शुभा ने बोला। और दोनों ने एक प्रकार से डिस्कवरी, पुनर्ज्ञान, पुनर्बोध का ही, दोनों ही पुस्तकें पुनर्बोध की है। शुभा जी ने परिवार, ये जो हमारे देश का, जो हमारे समाज की धुरी है परिवार, उस परिवार का बोध और उसका बदलता हुआ भाग्य और उसका अभी भी स्थापित रहना और उसकी आवश्यकता और किस प्रकार वो अभी भी जीवित है और उसका जीवित रहना क्यों अति आवश्यक है हमारे देश के लिए और हमारी संस्कृति और समाज के लिए। बहुत आशीर्वाद बेटी को, खुश रहो, लंबी उम्र पाओ। और पद्म पानी का तो नाम ही इतना सुंदर है कि सुबह उठ के लेना चाहिए, उससे आशीर्वाद मिलता है। और उन्होंने भी स्थान एक प्रकार के आसाम के स्थल पुराण है, जो जगह जगह आसाम के जो हमारे इतिहास जिनका हमें ज्ञान नहीं है, जैसे उन्होंने ठीक कहा कि कामाख्या और काजीरंगा के बाद हमारे लिए ये जो अहम प्रदेश है, अहम प्रदेश में दोनों अहम शब्द का प्रयोग दोनों सेंस में कर रहा हूं। एक तो अहम लोगों से आसाम शब्द बना और दूसरा ये अहम, बहुत ही अहम, बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण भाग है भारत के देश का, भारत की संस्कृति का। तो उन्होंने भी एक प्रकार पुनर्बोध कराया, हमें पुनर्बोध कराया। जैसे उन्होंने कहा 10वीं शताब्दी की बात तो कही कि 1520 से एक ज्योत जल रही है वहां एक जगह, 1520 सन 1520 से ज्योति जल रही है। तो ये दोनों पुस्तकों से मेरे मन में जो एक विचार उपजा कि ये दोनों पुस्तकों ने पुनः ये मेरे मन में ये विश्वास जगाया कि भारत की सनातन संस्कृति जो है वो गंगा प्रवाह की तरह है, अक्षुण्ण है, अविरल है, अभी भी बह रही है। और हमारे ये जो हमारे बच्चे, इतनी प्रबुद्ध बच्चे, जिनका ज्ञान इस देश की संस्कृति के बारे में शायद हम लोगों से भी थोड़ा अब अधिक ही है, क्योंकि हम एक बदलते हुए युग, जिस युग में हमारे ऊपर प्रभाव विदेशी संस्कृति का ज्यादा था, हम उस युग में बड़े हुए हैं। और ये भी उस युग के अंत में है, परंतु दूसरी हवाएं भी चलने लग गई जब ये विश्वविद्यालय में या स्कूलों में आए, और दूसरी हवाओं में भी इनकी जो मानसिकता है वो बनी है। और बड़ा मुझे आज अच्छा लगा, मैं अच्छा ही नहीं लगा, मुझे लगा कि मैं कई चीजें शायद कई जो कभी कभी मेरे मन में भाव आते थे कि देश का भविष्य क्या होगा, देश का भविष्य क्या है, वो आज मुझे बहुत उसके ऊपर एक प्रकार का प्रकाश पड़ा है। और मैं बहुत मेरे अब ऑप्टिमिज्म बढ़ गई है। मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि हमारे देश का भविष्य बहुत अच्छा है। अब युक्त जी हैं, धीरज जी हैं, महीप जी हैं और धनंजय जी तो बार बार नाम लेके मुझे लग रहा था कि एक प्रकार का एक तो एक टीचर के लिए इससे बड़ी बात तो होती नहीं कि उनका विद्यार्थी उनको याद रखे, उनको याद करे और उनके शब्दों का। धनंजय भी उन विद्यार्थियों में से एक हैं जो अभी भी मैं मानता हूं मानस पुत्र की तरह मेरी भाषा बोलते हैं। जो भाषा मैं बोला करता था, जो बातें मैं कहता था, उसको आगे चला रहे हैं। और यही एक धारा जो होती है, चिंतन की धारा, चिंतन की धारा जो कि बहनी चाहिए, जिससे चलती रहती, वही है ये। मैं स्मृति जी का यहाँ होना, मैं उनको अपना नमन करता हूँ, क्योंकि उन्होंने मुझे एक भाषा नीति बनाने के लिए एक कमिटी का जिम्मेवारी दी थी और मैंने 4 वॉल्यूम में वो रिपोर्ट लिखी थी। थोड़ा मेरा भाग्य कमजोर पड़ गया। जिस दिन मैंने वो 4 वॉल्यूम स्मृति जी को देने थे, उससे एक दिन पहले, शायद वो मेरे से नाराज थी, एक दिन पहले वो शिक्षा मंत्रालय छोड़ के टेक्सटाइल में चली गई। और वो जो मैंने उनके नाम पे ही और उनकी कृपा से ही, उनके आशीर्वाद से ही 4 वॉल्यूम, 20 बड़े विद्वान मेरे साथ थे उस कमेटी में। वो 4 वॉल्यूम किन्हीं कारणों से शेल्फों में पड़े रहे, परंतु अब जो शिक्षा मंत्री आए हैं, उन्होंने उसका संज्ञान लिया है और उन्होंने मुझे लगता है कि धीरे धीरे अभी भी जो शिक्षा नीति अंत में जो बनी है, उसमें जो भाषा के ऊपर जो उन्होंने महत्व दिया है, वो आज के आपके विषय के काफी करीब है कि आत्मनिर्भरता। हमने अच्छा, अभी एकदम हम आत्मनिर्भरता की बात क्यों करने, मोदी जी ने किस कारण से इस शब्द को, इस विचार को, आत्मनिर्भरता को केंद्र में क्यों रखा अचानक? क्योंकि जैसे ये जो संक्रमण आया, तो हमारे पास उसको देखने के लिए, उसका इलाज करने के लिए हमारे पास संसाधन उतने नहीं थे। हालांकि हमारी जो ह्यूमन वेल्थ है, वो शायद दूसरे बड़े डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज से बहुत ज्यादा है, परंतु जो टेक्नोलॉजिकल है, तो उस वक्त हमको लगा कि हमें बाहर से लेना है। हम हजारों साल से, हमारा देश डोनर रहा है, हमारा देश देने वाला देश, हमारी मुट्ठी ऐसे रही है हमेशा देने की। हमने ज्ञान भी दिया, धन भी दिया, परंतु समय के फेर में, समय के बदलाव में आते आते अब हमारा हाथ ऐसे हो गया और हम एक कटोरा बन गए। हम देने की बजाय लेने लग गए और हर चीज लेने लग गए। अनाज भी लिया, धन भी लिया और ज्ञान भी हमें लगा कि हमारे पास नहीं है। तो ये जो गिरावट जो हमारे में जो आई, उस देश में जो जिसकी सभ्यता 46 मानव सभ्यताओं में से केवल हमारी सभ्यता है जो 7000 साल से अक्षुण्ण और अविरल चल रही है। तो उसकी जो शक्ति थी, उस शक्ति को विस्मृत कर दिया, और उसकी शक्ति थी उसका ज्ञान। देखिए, पतंजलि महाभाष्य वाले जो थे और योग वाले, उनका चिदम्बरम के मंदिर में उनका जो स्कल्पचर बना हुआ है, वो उनका नीचे शेषनाग है और शेषनाग के ऊपर पतंजलि है। पतंजलि शेषनाग जो है वो धन का गार्डियन है, धन को बचाने वाला है। और पतंजलि को शेषनाग के उपम बताने का मतलब है कि ज्ञान से बड़ा धन नहीं है, ज्ञान से बड़ा धन नहीं है, और वो ज्ञान के शेषनाग थे। हमारा देश जो जब ज्यादा गिनाने की जरूरत नहीं है, 0 से लेके इन्फिनिटी तक की संकल्पना जिस देश में हुई, 0 से लेके इन्फिनिटी तक की संकल्पना हुई, जिसमें दुनिया के पहला ग्रंथ, पहली कविता, पहला गद्य पद्य, पहली एस्ट्रोनॉमी की किताब, पहली धर्मशास्त्र, पहला फोनेटिक्स की, मतलब आप गिनते जाइए, जहां पे इतना ज्ञान अर्जित हुआ, विश्व में पहली बार इतना ज्ञान अर्जित हुआ, उस देश में आते आते ये हालत हो गई कि हम अपनी शिक्षा में अपने ग्रंथों को पढ़ाते ही नहीं, हमारे ग्रंथों का उनमें स्थान ही नहीं रहा, और हमें लगा कि सारा ज्ञान हम वहां से लेते हैं। और ज्ञान, देखिए, भारत की भूमि योग की भूमि है, और भारत की सभ्यता ज्ञान केंद्रित है, और भारत की संस्कृति मूल्य आधारित संस्कृति है, और वो मूल्य उसी ज्ञान से है। और भारत का समाज धर्म ड्यूटी सेंटर्ड समाज है। कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन फंडामेंटल राइट्स कहता है और ड्यूटी को डायरेक्टिव में डाल देता है, जबकि मेरे विचार में हमारा संविधान जो है, भारत का जो समाज का संविधान है, उसमें फंडामेंटल ड्यूटी है, फंडामेंटल राइट नहीं है, फंडामेंटल ड्यूटी है। तो हमारा समाज मूल्य केंद्रित है, और हमारी जो चेतना है इस देश की, जो इस ज्ञान, इस विश्व का सबसे बड़ा ज्ञान ग्रंथों के भंडार का ये जो देश है, उस देश के ज्ञान ने इस देश की चेतना को एकात्मता में बदल दिया। हमारे देश में एक आत्मता है। इसीलिए चाहे पद्म पानी बोले, चाहे जयंतिया, खासी जयंतिया, गारो हिल्स के लोग वहां जाएं, आप चाहे दक्षिण में जाएं, पूर्व में जाएं, उत्तर में जाएं, जहां भी आप जाएंगे, चाहे भाषा कुछ हो, वेशभूषा कुछ हो, आपको ये हमेशा वही आभास होगा कि आप उसी देश में हैं, क्योंकि देश की एकात्मता, इस देश की ज्ञान की संस्कृति ने उस ज्ञान का जो आधार है, अधिष्ठान है, वो भाषा है। भर्तृहरि कहते हैं कि ज्ञानम सर्वम शब्देन भासते, सारा ज्ञान शब्दों से ही पैदा होता है, और शब्द जो है, शब्द का अर्थ भाषा, शब्द भी है, शब्द का पद भी है, पर भाषा, और हमारे यहाँ ज्ञान को केंद्र में रखा गया। भगवत गीता में कहा है कि ज्ञान से ज्यादा प्यूरिफायर, शुद्ध करने वाला कुछ नहीं है। ज्ञान आपको शुद्ध करता है। अग्नि सदृश, अग्नि से भी ज्यादा, पानी से भी ज्यादा ज्ञान से आदमी की शुद्धि होती है, और शुद्धि से आपको शक्ति मिलती है, पर आपको शक्ति दूसरों पे राज्य करने की नहीं, अपने आप पे राज्य करने की शक्ति मिलती है। वो ज्ञान को इतना मूल्यवान मानने वाला देश, और वो ज्ञान शब्दों में ही है, और शब्दों का तो हमारे यहाँ भंडार है। हमारी भाषाएं, हमारा अमेजोनियन रिचनेस है। जैसे अमेजोन का जंगल रिच है, उसी तरह हमारी लिंग्विस्टिक इकोलॉजी जो है भाषाओं की, वो है। परंतु एक इससे भ्रांति है लोगों को कि इतनी भाषाएं हैं, अगर हम इतनी भाषाओं में शिक्षा देंगे, इतनी भाषाओं में करेंगे, तो ये देश बंट जाएगा। इससे ज्यादा भ्रम, इससे ज्यादा भ्रांति कुछ नहीं हो सकती, क्योंकि भाषाएं गिनने में तो बहुत हैं, गिनते इसलिए हैं कि हम लिखने लग गए, पर हमारे यहाँ भाषा बोली है। पाणिनि का व्याकरण भाषा का व्याकरण है, बोली का, और छंदस है कंपोजिशनल, तो बोली है। जब आप बोलियों में जाते हैं, आप उत्तर भारत से दक्षिण तक पैदल चलते जाइए। बेटी ने कहा था कि 3 कोस पे भाषा बदले, परंतु आप चलते जाइए, पैदल चलते जाइए, कहीं भी आपकी टकराव नहीं होगा समझ में, कहीं भी समझ में टकराव नहीं होगा, क्योंकि इस देश में 5 प्राकृत हैं। भाषाएं जितनी भी हों, 5 प्राकृत हैं, और उन 5 प्राकृत का अंतर संबंध है। उनका वर्णों का संबंध है, उसका संचार जो है, जो उसके वाक्य की संरचना है उसका संबंध है। ये देश एक कम्युनिकेटिव जोन है। यहाँ आपस में समझने में किसी को कोई भी दुविधा नहीं है। आप किसी से भी बात करने की जरूरत नहीं। आप कहीं चले जाइए, आपको जो चाहिए मिलता है, आप समझते हैं। तो ये भाषा और ये संस्कृति, भाषा से ही अब संस्कृत और संस्कृति, देखिए भाषा का व्याकरण जो पाणिनि का है वो संस्कृत का व्याकरण नहीं है, भाषा का व्याकरण है। संस्कृत का नाम भास ने 5वीं शताब्दी में दिया था। हर भाषा की एक प्राकृत रूप होता है, एक संस्कृत रूप होता है। प्राकृत रूप है बोलने वाला, और संस्कृत रूप है जो जिससे उसको हम उसमें से निकाल के कुछ रचना कर। अब मैं जैसे बोल रहा हूं तो थोड़ा सोच के बोल रहा हूं, तो मैं प्राकृत नहीं बोल रहा। मैं ऐसे नहीं बोल रहा जैसे मैं अपने मित्रों के साथ बैठ के बोलता हूँ। तो इसी तरह अंग्रेजी की भी एक प्राकृत और एक संस्कृत अंग्रेजी है। एलियट की पोइट्री संस्कृत इंग्लिश में है, उसकी अंग्रेजी कोई नहीं बोलता था वो सड़क पर वो अंग्रेजी भाषा थी। तो भाषा और साहित्य, अर्थ, शब्द अर्थ साहित्य, शब्द और अर्थ से मिला हुआ जो है वो साहित्य है। और साहित्य और भाषा और साहित्य ही ज्ञान के द्वारा हमारी संस्कृति की रचना करते हैं। इस देश की जो संस्कृति है वो एक है। आप इस देश में कहीं भी चले जाइए, आप किसी बच्चे से, छोटे से बच्चे से जिसने अच्छा काम किया हो, उसे कहो बेटा तूने तो बहुत बड़ा अच्छा काम कर दिया, कोई भी आप नहीं कहेगा हाँ जी मैंने कर दिया, कहेगा हो गया। ये जो कर्ण की भावना है, कर्ता की भावना नहीं है, ये हमारे देश की संस्कृति की कई चीजों में से एक ऐसी चीज है जो चेतना की एक आत्मता है। तो इसमें मैं एक ज्यादा टाइम नहीं लेना चाहता, क्योंकि मैं बहुत ज्यादा 50-52 साल इन्होंने बोला, वैसे मुझे 60 साल बोलते हो गए हैं। और मेरी बेटी भी कहती है कि पापा तुम बहुत बोलते हो, तो इसलिए मुझे ज्यादा नहीं बोलना चाहिए। मैं आपका बड़ा आभारी हूँ। और शुभ को मैं पूछने वाला था, फिर उन्होंने बता दिया कि लखनऊ शहर की बात है। आम नगरी जो है, एक तो आम नगरी है, आम नगरी कॉमन, हर शहर में, हर घर में, हर परिवार में है। और एक आम दुशहरी आम है। मुझे अभी पता नहीं चला कि लखनऊ के आम को दशहरी क्यों कहते हैं। बनारस के आम को तो लंगड़ा इसलिए कहते हैं कि आम जब बनारस गया तो उसे वाराणसी इतना पसंद आया कि वो जाना नहीं चाहता था, तो लंगड़ा हो गया। तो इसलिए उसको कहते बनारस का आम जो है वो लंगड़ा आम है। तो शायद शुभा बेटी बता सकती है कि लखनऊ के आम को दशहरी क्यों कहते हैं, दशहरी क्यों कहते हैं। और मैं मानता हूँ उनका एक आम समाज, आम परिवार के साथ था। तो स्मृति ईरानी जी, आपको मुझे इतने साल बाद मौका मिला है धन्यवाद कहने का। आपका मैं इसलिए कह रहा हूं कि आप इस वक्त हमारे लिए, आप उम्र में मेरे से छोटी हैं, परंतु आप इस वक्त धर्म वृद्ध हैं। और इस धर्म वृद्ध के रूप में आपका आशीर्वाद अब भी चाहिए मुझे। और मैं कभी आपकी आज्ञा होगी तो मैं आपसे मिलना भी चाहूंगा। धन्यवाद सबका, सब बच्चों का। जीते रहो, खुश रहो, लंबी उम्र पाओ, और इसी तरह देश के लिए काम करते रहो।
धन्यवाद सर। आप लोगों की कृपा, आपकी कृपा, मिनिस्टर मैडम की कृपा हम सब पे बनी रहे, यही हमारी अभिलाषा है। जैसे संस्कृत में कहते हैं कि कस्तूरी की खुशबू कभी भी छिपाई नहीं जा सकती, उसी प्रकार आप जैसे मिनिस्टर या प्रोफेसर की अच्छे गुण कभी भी छिपाए नहीं जा सकते हैं। इसको संस्कृत में भी बोला है कि यदि संति गुना पुंसाम विकसंते ते स्वयं नहीं कस्तूरी का मोदह सफतेन विभाव्यते। तो अगर मेरी आप लोगों की का आशीर्वाद हम लोगों पे, सब लोगों पे, चाहे वो विश्व के किसी भी भाग में क्यों ना हो, चाहे वो ताशकंद में हो या अमेरिका में हो या सिडनी में हो या सहारनपुर में हो, कहीं पर भी हो, उन सब लोगों की कृपा हम लोग पे बनी रहे, हमारी यही मंगल आशा है. और and now when we have an IAS, when we have a people from Indian Railway Service and not Revenue Service, earlier I made a mistake, then we have amidst us a person from Indian Foreign Services. He is currently based in as an ambassador to a very important, although a bit small, but very important country, Madagascar, beautiful country, and not only to Madagascar, but also to another very, very small country. I do not know how many people have heard the name Comoros, Comoros. So Abhay Kumarji is the 21st ambassador to these nations. Generally, people are ambassador to one country. He is taking charge of at least two countries. And apart from that, he had served in various diplomatic centers or embassies, like very important BRICS countries, Russia, Brazil, our northern neighboring country, Nepal. But apart from being an ambassador and diplomat, he is a poet. Now, wonderful thing about him is that he writes anthem. And he writes anthem, and his anthems are translated into over 50 languages. And his anthems has been played at the United Nations to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Earth Day. And now you will not be surprised that if he writes an anthem for Earth, our Mother Earth, then he also writes anthem for Mama Moon, Chand ke liye, moon anthem. And he wrote this to celebrate the success of India's moon mission, the Chandrayaan-2. Unfortunately, that mission was not complete success, but we are sure that Chandrayaan and beyond that we will go further, because we have all the belief and all the hope in our great scientist. Apart from Moon, Earth, he has also penned an anthem for Mars. And then comes Venus. And I was glad to note that a few years ago, he was also director of the Nehru Cultural Center in London, where I'm basically sitting 90 minutes away from that center. And he was also the Deputy High Commissioner to a very, very important country, Australia. He is a poet, as I said, huge respect for culture, civilization, and literature. So he was awarded for writing his poetries from various places, including SARC Literary Award or Asia Pacific Excellence Award. He speaks many languages, obviously, because as an ambassador and as a foreign servant, you have to learn perhaps a few other languages. So apart from Indian languages, he also speaks many foreign languages. So over to you, the ambassador to Madagascar, Abhay Kumarji.
नमस्कार आप सबको मैडागास्कर से। मैडागास्कर एक आइलैंड है जो छोटा आइलैंड नहीं है, इसका साइज जो है वो फ्रांस के जैसा है और इसका पॉपुलेशन 26 मिलियन के करीब है। सो आप सबको बहुत बहुत नमस्कार। सम्मानीय श्रीमती स्मृति जुबिन ईरानी जी, ऑनरेबल यूनियन मिनिस्टर of Textiles and Women and Child Development, Professor Kapil Kapoor ji, Professor Dhananjay Singh ji, Professor Rana Singh ji, Subha Sharma ji, Padam Pani ji, Sandeep Mahapatra ji, श्री डॉक्टर महीप, डॉक्टर धीरज और सभी जो यहाँ उपस्थित हैं, होस्ट एंड को होस्ट्स, आप सबको सबसे पहले मैं क्योंकि हम कोरोना के समय में हैं तो एक कामना करना चाहूंगा सभी के लिए, सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मां कश्चित् दुख भाग् भवेत्। आप सभी खुश रहें, आप सभी सुखी हों, ये मेरी कामना है। और जब आप सब सुखी होंगे, जब सब आप स्वस्थ होंगे, तभी हम एक आत्मनिर्भर भारत का निर्माण कर सकते हैं। तो आज इस मौके पर मैं कुछ कॉन्क्रीट सजेशंस देना चाहूंगा। माननीय मंत्री जी यहाँ हैं, तो मेरे लिए इससे और बढ़िया मौका नहीं होगा कि ये प्रस्ताव मैं उनके सामने रखूं। तो एक जो बहुत ही स्पेशल थॉट है, यूनिक थॉट है इंडियन सिविलाइजेशन का, वो है महा उपनिषद से वसुधैव कुटुंबकम का। और वसुधैव कुटुंबकम जो है का पूरा श्लोक है, अयम निजः परो वेति गणना लघुचेतसा उदार चरित्राणाम वसुधैव कुटुंबकम। और ये जो वसुधैव कुटुंबकम महा उपनिषद से चल करके आज विश्व भर में फैल चुका है। हमारे कई प्रधानमंत्री, कई विदेश मंत्री जब संयुक्त राष्ट्र संघ के मार्बल रोस्ट्रम पर बोलते हैं तो वसुधैव कुटुंबकम का हमेशा जिक्र होता है। और इसलिए क्योंकि वसुधैव कुटुंबकम एक ऐसी सोच है जो सबको सम्मिलित करती है, जिसमें कोई भी पराया नहीं है। और उसमें जो कोर है वसुधैव कुटुंबकम का, वो वसुधा है, वो अर्थ है। तो इसमें सिर्फ मानव ही नहीं बल्कि अन्य प्राणी, पेड़ पौधे, अन्य जीव जंतु सभी जो है एक परिवार की तरह हम उन्हें देखते हैं। तो मेरा तो इसके कारण जो है हमारी जो संसद है, हमारी संसद की जो मुख्य द्वार है, जो एंट्रेंस है, वहां पे वसुधैव कुटुंबकम जो है इंस्क्राइब किया गया है, लिखा गया है। क्योंकि वसुधैव कुटुंबकम जो है एक भारतीय सिविलाइजेशन की, इंडियन सिविलाइजेशन की एक स्पेशल जो है गिफ्ट है। सो मेरा प्रस्ताव है माननीय मंत्री जी से कि आज वसुधैव कुटुंबकम को हम संयुक्त राष्ट्र संघ में के जनरल असेंबली में हम कहीं पे इंस्क्राइब करें, या कहीं पर एक ऐसा आर्ट वर्क हम उनको डोनेट करें जिसमें वसुधैव कुटुंबकम लिखा हुआ हो, ताकि दुनिया के जितने लोग जब सितंबर में वहां पहुंचे तो भारत की इस यूनिक सोच के बारे में सोचें। दूसरा प्रस्ताव जो है वो है कि हम सभी देश अपने राष्ट्रगान गाते हैं, यहां तक कि यूनिवर्सिटीज के भी अपने राष्ट्रगान हैं, यूनिवर्सिटी के भी एंथम्स हैं, और कॉलेजेस के तो और फुटबॉल टीम्स के भी एंथम्स होते हैं। लेकिन हमारी पृथ्वी के लिए कोई एक कॉमन एंथम नहीं है। मेरा आग्रह है माननीय मंत्री जी से कि हम जिस तरह से हमने योग दिवस को एक अंतर्राष्ट्रीय दिवस के रूप में एक जनरल असेंबली में रेजोल्यूशन पास करवाया, उसी तरह से एक हम ये लीडरशिप रोल लें और एक कॉमन अर्थ एंथम के लिए प्रयास करें और एक रेजोल्यूशन प्रपोज करें यूनाइटेड नेशंस जनरल असेंबली में कि एक जो है कॉमन पृथ्वी गीत जो हर 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 देश के वासी गा सकते हो, जो विस्थापित भी हैं, जो रिफ्यूजीज हैं, डिस्प्लेस्ड हैं, वो भी गा सकते हैं। क्योंकि कई बार ऐसा होता है कि जो लोग विस्थापित हैं वो तो न इस देश का राष्ट्रगान गा सकते हैं, न उस देश का गा सकते हैं, क्योंकि उनकी कोई तो सिटीजनशिप ही नहीं है। तो भारत इसका भी इस मामले में भी जो है विश्व गुरु बने और एक प्रस्ताव रखा जाए यूएनजीए में एक कॉमन अर्थ एंथम के लिए। अब जो है वापस भारत की तरफ मुड़ते हुए एक आत्मनिर्भर भारत बनाने में एक लाइब्रेरी का, एक पोएट्री लाइब्रेरी का बहुत बड़ा योगदान हो सकता है। भारत में करीब 34 भाषाएं जो है वो बहुत सारे लोग बोलते हैं। अभी हाल फिलहाल में ही एक जो है एंथोलॉजी आई है जिसमें 34 भारतीय भाषाओं से कविताओं का अनुवाद सम्मिलित है। तो हमारी जो भाषा की विविधता है, जो कविता जो हमारी इन 34 भाषाओं में लिखी जा रही हैं, हम उसको संग्रहित करें एक सेंट्रल पोएट्री लाइब्रेरी में। जितने विकसित देश हैं, चाहे वो चाहे यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स हो, वहां पे लाइब्रेरी ऑफ कांग्रेस में, या चाहे पोएट्री लंदन में जहां आप हैं युक्ति जी, वहां पे पोएट्री लाइब्रेरी है साउथ बैंक सेंटर में। तो जितने विकसित देश हैं वो अपनी कविता का जो है संरक्षण करते हैं, क्योंकि कविता जो है हमारा इतिहास और भविष्य दोनों है। आप चाहे रामायण देखें, चाहे विश्व की पहली पुस्तक ऋग्वेद देखें, चाहे महाभारत देखें, या कालिदास की कृतियां मेघदूत या ऋतु संहार देखें, या शाकुंतलम अभिज्ञान और अन्य कृतियां देखें। तो कविता जो है वो हमारी एक तरह से जो है हमारी स्ट्रेंथ है। हमेशा से जो है कविता हमारे लिए हमारी संस्कृति में महत्वपूर्ण रोल प्ले करती आई है, और हमारे जितने महाकाव्य हैं सारे काव्य हैं, वो पद्य नहीं है। तो आज मैं आग्रह करना चाहता हूं, ये मेरा तीसरा आग्रह है माननीय मंत्री जी से, कि भारत को एक पोएट्री लाइब्रेरी मिले। पहली एक भारत में कहीं भी ऐसी लाइब्रेरी नहीं है जो सिर्फ कविता का संग्रह करती है। मैंने कई बार साहित्य अकादमी से कहा है कि ये ऐसी पहल लें और एक पोएट्री लाइब्रेरी, एक नेशनल पोएट्री लाइब्रेरी बनाया जाए। मेरा जो चौथा अनुरोध है कि ये नेशनल पोएट्री लाइब्रेरी जो है वो एक ऐसे एक केंद्र बने, एक सेंटर बने, जहां पे कि हम कविता पाठ और कविताओं का आदान प्रदान, कविताओं का अनुवाद, ये सब करें। भारतीय जो साहित्य है वो सिर्फ एक या दो भाषाओं का साहित्य नहीं है, सिर्फ इंग्लिश या उर्दू या हिंदी या संस्कृत का साहित्य नहीं है। भारतीय भाषाएं जो हैं, जितनी भाषाएं हैं, सब में अच्छी अच्छी कृतियां हैं। और आज आत्मनिर्भर भारत अगर हम देखना चाहते हैं तो हमें इन सभी कृतियों का अनुवाद करना होगा और उसे दुनिया तक ले जाना होगा। मैंने अपने पर्सनल लेवल पे अपनी इनिशिएटिव ली है, और मैंने जो है 100 ग्रेट इंडियन पोएम्स को एडिट किया है, जिसमें 3000 साल से ज्यादा की कृतियां सम्मिलित हैं, 28 भाषाओं से सम्मिलित हैं। और इसका अनुवाद जो है अभी तक पोर्चुगीज, स्पेनिश, इटालियन, रशियन, फ्रेंच, मालागासी, आयरिश, इन सभी भाषाओं में हो चुका है। अभी जर्मन भाषा में उसका अनुवाद हो रहा है, और उसका अनुवाद नेपाली में भी हो चुका। तो एक जरूरत है कि हम भारतीय साहित्य को दुनिया तक पहुंचाएं। मैं चूंकि कवि हूं तो कविता में मेरा स्पेशल इंटरेस्ट है, लेकिन हम ऐसा भारतीय ट्रांसलेशन जो है वो बहुत ही जरूरी है अगर हम विश्व में अपने साहित्य का रुतबा देखना चाहते हैं। एक उदाहरण छोटा सा देना चाहता हूं मैं आयरलैंड का। आयरलैंड जो है बहुत बड़ा देश नहीं है, उनकी जनसंख्या भी बहुत बड़ी नहीं है, लेकिन वहां की जो लिटरेचर है उसको वो बहुत ही अच्छी तरह से प्रमोट करते हैं, और कई उन आयरिश जो कविताएं हैं या जो लिटरेचर है वो पूरी दुनिया में जानी जाती है। तो इसके अलावा जो है मैं कहना चाहूंगा कि हमारी जो स्ट्रेंथ है वो है कि हम सब जो है मिलकर करके भारतीय साहित्य को जो है हम आगे बढ़ाएं, चाहे हम किसी भी दुनिया के किसी हिस्से में हों। भारतीय कवियों को पढ़ें। एक जो इनिशिएटिव, एक और प्रपोजल जो है मैं रखना चाहूंगा कि जो बड़ी बड़ी हस्तियां हैं, चाहे वो भारतीय फिल्म उद्योग में हो, चाहे राजनीतिक क्षेत्र में हो, वो कभी जो कॉन्टेम्पररी पोएट्स हैं उनको जरूर पढ़ें, चाहे जो भी पसंद हो, ताकि जो है भारत में कॉन्टेम्पररी पोएट्री है उसको एक तरह से एक्सपोजर मिले। इन शब्दों के साथ जो है मैं दोनों लेखकों को, सुभाष जी को और पद्म पाणि जी को बधाई देना चाहता हूं। आपकी जो पुस्तक आज रिलीज हुई है, और मैं जरूर चाहूंगा कि मैं उन सबको पढ़ सकूं।
कमल लाला मुझे सुनना है, ये बंद कर लो।
और सब आप सभी को जेएनयू के जो आयोजक हैं, इस पे सभी को मैं धन्यवाद अर्पित करना चाहूंगा। मैं अपना जो है माननीय मंत्री जी को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद अर्पित करना चाहूंगा, अपना मूल्यवान समय हमारे साथ बिताने के लिए। एक ऐसे संडे है, फिर भी ये जो कार्यक्रम का आयोजन आप लोगों ने किया है ये बहुत ही सराहनीय है, और मैं आप सबको धन्यवाद देना चाहूंगा। इन शब्दों के साथ असतो मा सदगमय, तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय, मृतो मा अमृतंगमय। आप सबको इसका भाव मालूम है। आप सभी को नमस्कार और शुभकामनाएं।
धन्यवाद अभय कुमार जी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। हम लोग जानते हैं कि हम लोग थोड़ा समय से लेट चल रहे हैं, सो आई अपोलोजाइज टू द कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर फॉर running a bit late because we have teachers and people and they were speaking and we were all enlightened. What I wanted to say about Madagascar, it is not a small country, but when we talk about India, Russia, America, then obviously it is like a European country. But anyway, I will now like to invite our chief guest, Madam Smriti Zubin Irani, who has been so patiently listening to all of us. I would not speak at all and introduce about her because you all know her. She is the youngest cabinet member today, minister today. But two things I would like to say, that she started yoga departments in 6 new university when she was the HRD minister. She also started after winning the election last year, Didi Aapke Dwar program. And I have personally benefited, and I have started this program in my constituency. And within 3 months, she fulfilled her election promise of establishment of Kendriya Vidyalaya in Amethi. So, and she has been a young global leader. Awards like Prime Minister David Cameron of UK, or Jack Ma of China, or Larry Page of Google. So those awards which these people received or were bestowed upon, the same award was bestowed upon our young and charismatic leader. So over to you, madam. I invite you to enlighten us with your knowledge and experience. Madam.
Distinguished alumni members, faculty members, ladies and gentlemen. This evening is dedicated to the glorification of two alumni members who happen to serve in the Indian Administrative Services and find ample time to pen their thoughts. One, a pictorial discovery of the Assamese heritage, and the other, a novel which speaks about the Avasthis from Amnagari. At the onset, my heartiest congratulations to both the writers, given that both these writers actually serve in the varied fields of handloom and handicraft, tells you that they have administratively also, apart from being authors, dedicated their lives and their work to uplifting those who have given much to the artistic legacy of our country, and at the same time ensuring that in a modern economy, those traditional legacies thrive. I must say at the onset, talk about Shubha's book, which finds the fulcrum, the Sutradhar, in the mother figure. The fact that Shubha in her novel has been extremely honest about the fact that happiness comes at a cost, either a price paid by truth or by love, I'm sure will make her book an interesting read. I have the privilege of working with Padmpani Bora in my ministry, and hence I know the passion with which he brings this pictorial discovery of his home state for everybody's reading pleasure. In the book, Padmpani Bora not only leverages the local legacies, which are temporal and religious in nature, but he also now provides much needed push for tourism opportunities to these far and beyond places in the beautiful state of Assam. The topic of conversation today is the role of languages, literature, culture for a self-reliant India. And as is obvious, those who have joined us today who have a literary inclination have spoken about India and its educational ethos. In larger public spaces, we find that today when we talk about self-reliance, आत्मनिर्भरता, लोग उसको मैन्युफैक्चरिंग दृष्टिकोण से ही देखते हैं. That myopia, I hope this platform will help us address. Because if truly a nation is to be self-reliant, that self-reliance will not be limited to manufacturing processes, business ideas, or investments alone. Self-reliance finds its foundation in the holistic rise of citizens who are aware of their civilizational values and strengths. So today when I ponder over systems such as languages, literature, and culture, आप अगर बोलचाल की भाषा में लोगों से इस विषय पर चर्चा करेंगे और विशेषतः नौजवानों के साथ चर्चा करेंगे तो एक उदासीनता आपको निश्चित रूप से दिखेगी. नौजवान और अक्सर वो जो बिजनेस कम्युनिटीज को बिलोंग करते हैं कहेंगे कि बिजनेस और मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्रोसेसेस का लैंग्वेज, लिटरेचर या कल्चर से क्या लेना देना. आज उसके 2-3 उदाहरण आपके सम्मुख हमने इस वार्तालाप में ही देखे. एक, जब संदर्भ आया लैंग्वेज का, Kapil Kapoor ji has been more than delightful and gracious in giving me many compliments for ensuring that he is given an opportunity to serve the linguistic traditions of our country and imbibe them in educational processes for times to come. कपिल जी, आपको मैं बतलाना चाहूंगी कि ये एहसान नहीं था, आपने हम पर एहसान किया कि आपके आजीवन जो आपने छोटे छोटे मणि और रत्न देश की भाषाओं के संदर्भ में इकट्ठे किए, उसे भारत की शैक्षिक तिजोरी में भरने के लिए आपके उस प्रयास के लिए आपका बहुत बहुत अभिनंदन करना चाहूंगी. आपने यहाँ पर अपनी इस व्याकुलता को व्यक्त किया कि आपकी रिपोर्ट जैसे ही तय हो गई थी उसके बाद मैं छोड़कर एजुकेशन चली गई. हमारे देश का संस्कार यह है, बेटियां कभी छोड़कर नहीं जाती, बेटियों को छुड़वाया जाता है. But today on a larger landscape of education, one of the greatest challenges we have is that when we talk about education, most of the deliberation, most of the debate shifts towards medium of instruction. And that medium of instructions, as Kapil Kapoor ji has rightfully said, gives rise to debates and deliberations, which again are very restrictive. People talk about आप क्यों हिंदुस्तानी भाषा में पढ़ाना चाहते हैं, because English happens to be a link language. Today, it has been scientifically established that if you want to establish foundations in a child with regards to mathematics and science, the mother tongue is the best language to begin with. But it needs to be said, do we look at language only from the prism of medium of instruction? Or should we look at language also from the perspective of language of that particular academic discipline? And I hope that आप सब महानुभाव जो आज इस प्लेटफॉर्म पर उपस्थित हैं, वो इस संदर्भ में भी रिसर्च अथवा कोई ना कोई पेपर निश्चित रूप से लिखेंगे. What is the language of academics in India? Academics which is not restricted only to English. अगर हम उस विषय पर भी प्रकाश डालेंगे तो मुझे लगता है आने वाले समय में academies can find some native roots. Additionally, when I speak about the impact of language, one also looks at the culture within which a language is imbibed in or encompassed by. And today, when we talk about the culture of education, the culture of doing business, the culture of engaging between citizenries, what do we find? आज इस मंच पर एक परस्पर समन्वय दिखा बिना शब्दों के धनंजय जी और कपिल कपूर जी के बीच में. वर्षों से जब हम कहते कि गुरु शिष्य की एक परंपरा होती तो लोग कहते कि आप काफी ट्रेडिशनलिस्ट हैं, यू आर क्वाइट रिग्रेसिव इन योर अप्रोच टुवर्ड्स एजुकेशन. बट इफ यू डू अ कॉन्टेक्स्ट with which you look at the culture of learning and education in our country and contrast it for those systems that are imbibed, let's say, in the West, what are the differences that we find? In India, we call our educational institutions as temples of education. Overseas, we talk about institutions that are gigantic in terms of infrastructure and, of course, engagement between faculty and student. The difference being कि मंदिर में इंसान जीवन भर जाता है, which brings me to the modern context of lifelong learning. So if you look at the culture of learning in our country, it is a process of lifelong learning. मजे की बात ये कि आज जब मॉडर्निस्ट एजुकेशन की बात करते हैं तो वो इस संदर्भ में कहते हैं कि लाइफ लॉन्ग लर्निंग इज अ न्यू स्किल दैट यू नीड टू डेवलप. कपिल कपूर जी जैसे महानुभाव आपको बताएंगे कि लाइफ लॉन्ग लर्निंग प्रोसेस इसको नया स्किल नहीं है, ये भारत के लर्निंग का एक पुराना सिद्धांत है. सिमिलरली जब मंदिर जाते हैं तो प्रसाद ग्रहण करना चाहते हैं शिक्षा का, लेकिन when we look at an academic institution, let's say overseas, we are pursuing a program and a degree. And I think that is the bridge that India had built centuries ago. The fact that a parampara where a shishya, no matter how enriched, can still go back to the guru, ensured that those threads of education and learning can be picked up again, I think is what makes us quintessentially Indian in our learning processes and methodologies. I also must here today say that अगर आप में से जितने लोग सोशियोलॉजी के संदर्भ में पढ़ाई कर चुके हैं वो जानेंगे कि जब लोग ट्रांसडिसिप्लिनरी या फिर मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी या इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी स्टडीज के बारे में चर्चा करते हैं तो बात करते हैं रिफ्लेक्टिव प्रैक्टिशनर का. हिंदुस्तान में यह परंपरा तो माँ ने बचपन में ही सिखाई. जैसे शुभा ने अपनी किताब में सूत्रधार माँ को पाया, आप अगर अपने जीवन के इतिहास के पन्नों को पलटकर देखेंगे तो पाएंगे कि घर से ही सीखा, सोचो फिर बोलो, सोचो फिर करो, which means the modernist way of educating a child, of becoming a reflective practitioner, is something which was very much a part not only of our learning systems, but also our systems of bringing up a child. And that is why today I find it fascinating that when we talk about self-reliance, the very foundation and roots of it lies in our methodologies of learning. Today, a day and age where post-COVID, we are looking at exponential growth of the IT sector and businesses relating to the same. It is that quintessential inclination towards mathematics that can give us stronger foundation in that emerging industry. including artificial intelligence. घर की बात करें तो शुभा की कहानी में अवस्थी और रामनगरी की चर्चा होती है। कपिल जी ने लंगड़ा और दशहरी की यहां पर बात करी, तो मां गणित बच्चे को कैसे पढ़ाती? 6 आम है घर में कैसे बटेंगे? उसमें सिर्फ मैथ सिखाती, साथ ही एम्पैथी भी सिखाती। Which amongst you will get the food portion first? That reflected not only the mother's way of teaching a child division of a plate of food, but also the empathy with which a child would apply himself or herself. And that is why today we find a lot of correlation between the 3 topics that we've chosen: language, literature, and culture, and self-reliant India. It's in India that we are at the cusp of a new India, where we are hoping not only that the bank balances of our children increase, not only that they have great cars to drive, bigger homes to live in, but they also are empathetic citizens. और वही मूलभूत हमारा स्वभाव है शिक्षा का भी और समाज का भी। कई लोगों को अटपटा सा लगता है कि लिटरेचर और इकोनॉमी के मध्य में क्या रिश्ता हो सकता है। आज मेरे ओपनिंग रिमार्क्स में मैंने कहा पद्मपानी बोरा की किताब एक पिक्टोरल एविडेंस है ऑफ असमीज हेरिटेज। और एक सत्य ये भी है कि अगर किसी को कहा जाए कि आप असम में कहां जाना चाहते हैं, तो वो मात्र और मात्र कामाख्या देवी के मंदिर का ही अनुसरण करेगा अथवा उसके बारे में चर्चा करेगा। And through this one literary input by Padmapani Bora, today somebody who seeks to tour in Assam, spend some time with their family there, has multiple choices to engage with. Similarly, let's look at another angle of how culture impacts our economy. If today I ask anybody on this platform, do you remember the book Animal Farm? Many amongst you will recall it. Why? Animal Farm was written with a socio-political context, which most of you find relevant even today. But if you look at Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, the very foundation of that story was a clash of cultures and societal classes brought upon because of economic friction in the English society. Why is it possible for us to speak so about, let's say, the Animal Farm or Pride and Prejudice? Because there have been systemic researches done on the impact of English literature and how economies have been studied. Have we done that for Indian literature? And I think that is one space where a lot can be done. Today, Ambassador Abhay Kumar spoke about the need to put up an institution dedicated to poetry. And as I listened to him, I wanted to remind him that he's a part of a service that actually can leverage the ICCR. And I'm hopeful that all the pronouncements that he's made on this platform today will find support and home under the aegis of the ICCR. But do we have to be restrictive in our approach? That is a question I'm sure many of you have struggled over the number of years to answer. What is self-reliance? Self-reliance is a community that can meet its needs. And what are needs? Baant ke khana, which means we are not only empathetic consumers, but as Abhay Kumar said, the theory of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is not just a theory, not a plaque on the wall. It's very much a way of life for us as we speak. आज भी अगर शुभा की किताब के पन्ने पलटेंगे, निश्चित रूप से एक ऐसी माँ उसमें पाई जाएगी जो खुद बैठ के पहले खाना नहीं खाती, दूसरों को परोसती है, बच्चों को खिलाती है, उसके बाद अपना खाना ग्रहण करती है. Is it easier for such a civilization, for such a nation to then rise to the challenge of sustainable living, living with dignity? I truly believe it is. And that is why today, when we look at the concept of Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliant India, let us not limit it to only pursuit of economic goals. Let us recognize that it is an opportunity for us as a civilization to meet the new world and say, India arrived at the concepts that you embrace today more than a million years ago. It is time for you to recognize that we seek to not confront you with arrogance or prejudice. We seek to envelop you in our knowledge systems and in our empathetic behavior towards our fellow global citizens. Once again, my heartiest congratulations, Shubhaji and Padmapari Bora, for your fantastic work. My gratitude to the Alumni Association for inviting me today to this very dignified platform. Dhanyavad.
Thank you so much, madam. As there is a saying that the way gold's purity is tested by rubbing, cutting, hitting, and pounding, similarly, a person like yours, their qualities are tested by your manners, your gentleness, your humility, your habits and deeds. Absolutely great. In Sanskrit, we say the same thing. Yatha chaturbhi kanakam parikshayet nirgharsana chatted patadanno tatha chaturbhi purusam parikshayet tyagen shilen gunen karmana. So thank you very much, madam. One more thing I would like to say just quickly, that you talked about Jane Austen. Jane Austen lived in the city of Bath, and she wrote that book where I teach now. So I am in her place. Obviously, Jane Austen was many, many years ago. Now, I invite our first president, JNU-SU president of this century, basically. In 2000, the person who made history in JNU, Sri Sandeep Mahapatra ji, who is a very senior advocate now in Delhi High Court. He is the only JNU-SU president from a different platform, ABVP, and we are proud of that. I've known Sandeep Mahapatra ji not perhaps personally in person, but we follow each other on social media, Facebook and Twitter. So I know his works, and he has written quite a lot. So I now invite Sri Sandeep Mahapatra ji to address us. Sandeep Mahapatra ji.
Many thanks, Yukteswar ji. Namaskar, good evening. And it has been almost 2 hours now that we have been here. So I'll not make my speech a long one. Honorable Smriti Irani ji, our Cabinet Minister. Professor Kapil Kapoor ji, namaskar. It is a privilege to be sharing a platform with you, sir. The doyen of Indian literature, if I may use that, and languages. He has already spoken on the issue. Professor Rana Singh ji, Sri Bhargav Mitra ji, Abhay ji, the office bearers of Alumni Association, Dheeraj ji, Mahib ji, and my friend Suva and Padmapani ji. I would again like to welcome you, and as a fellow JNUite, we know that एक कहावत है हिंदी में कि JNU को तो आप छोड़ सकते हो, लेकिन आपके अंदर का JNU जो है वो कभी छूटता नहीं है. And therefore, it is always a privilege to be amongst JNUites, whether physically or virtually. And the two books that has been launched today, one by my friend Suva Sarma and by Padmapani Bora ji. Suva had been a classmate, class fellow, and she's an officer now in Odisha. And Padmapani ji is from Assam. And I have also an Assamese connection, so to say that my wife spent a formative year in Assam, so I'd be looking forward to reading both the books, to going through both the books. Many, many congratulations to both the authors. And this is another facet of JNU, alumnus of JNU, who have, though left JNU, have made their own mark in their own setting. And even though they are bureaucrats, they have contributed immensely. And Suva, this is Suva's second book, and I'm sure that in the coming days we'll see more of her writing as well as Mr. Padmapani Bora's writing. Now, coming to today's topic, Professor Kapoor has already spoken, Avedi has already spoken, the Honorable Minister has already spoken, and therefore there is nothing much that I could add on to this. But one aspect which comes to my mind, and I would like to share with this August platform and August gathering, is that, as the Honorable Minister had rightly pointed out, when we talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat and the context that the idea of Atmanirbhar Bharat was floated by the Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, was a very critical phase of our country's societal and public life, when we are facing a situation of COVID, which arose because of the COVID situation, and China's belligerence, if I may use the word, rather, China was belligerent, it is still belligerent. And at that point in time, there was a hue and cry as to how to meet the demand, rising demand, which has arisen in this country, in our country, over the last 3 decades. And then we realized that somehow we have ceded territory to China. China has taken over as the manufacturing hub of the entire world. And there are many things which even we have also got dependent on China. And at that point in time, the call for Atmanirbhar Bharat was given by the Honorable Prime Minister. And therefore, it was but natural that everybody would start thinking, or rather started to think of linking Atmanirbhar Bharat with a better facility insofar as technological aspect is concerned, manufacturing aspect is concerned, and so on and so forth. Many articles at that point in time appeared as to whether we in India have the wherewithal to even produce TV screens of say 80 inches or whatever, whether we have the wherewithal to produce mobile phone, and whether we have the wherewithal to produce or manufacture laptops for that matter. And therefore, the topic that we are talking about, linking language, literature, and culture with Atmanirbhar Bharat, is in that sense a unique one, and I must congratulate AAJ for having chosen this topic. And therefore, when we are talking about Atmanirbharta, it has something to do with self-confidence also. And self-confidence, according to me, comes from the cultural setting that we are brought up in. And as have been pointed out by the earlier speakers, culturally in India, we have been taught in such certain manner, be it from the north to the south or from the east to the west, that we have always followed this principle that we should be following a self-sustaining model. And this has been there since ages. Our parents would have taught us, and our grandparents also would have taught us, that जब आप नहा के आते हो, उस समय आप तुलसी जी को पानी दिया करो, या फिर पेड़ पौधों में पानी दिया करो. The month that we are going through now in the Indian calendar, Hindu calendar, is Kartik के महीना बोलते हैं. And those who non-veg, they would realize, and this is particularly in places the east of our country, that during this period we are told that we should not be, eating fish or non-veg for that matter. The reason for that is more to do with conserving the nature. That during this period of time there is a breeding season that goes on, and therefore we should not be eating non-veg food, and particularly indicating fish. So this system has been there since ages. The point is that we have been following a process or a culture, we have been part of a culture which believes in self-sustaining ourselves. And the time that has come now is, again, we are going back to that, is kind of a call to going back to that route where we follow a self-sustaining model. And at the same time, we are mindful of the fact that the consumption that we are getting used to should not be at the cost of Mother Earth. And that has been followed since ages, and all of us would know that. And therefore, there is a system, or there is a tradition in our country to worship every living being as in some form of gods or goddesses. So the rivers are worshipped as goddesses. There are some trees which are worshipped as God, or the kind of figure of God. The idea is to how to sustain those, and that is getting reflected nowadays in various judicial pronouncement also, and those who are working in the field of environmental law would attest to this, that now the rivers are being treated as living beings. It is an irony that though this has been there ingrained in our minds since ages, that rivers are also treated as living beings. And we don't say, when we talk about Ganga, we say Ganga ji or Jamuna ji, and so on and so forth. And we have treated them as living objects or living figures all the time. But thanks to the system that we have followed, the educational system that we followed for some time, we are given to understand that, okay, this is only a river. This is a kind of manifestation of a geographical process and nothing much. But now again, we are going back to our roots. And that is how I think a fascie of Atmanirbhar Bharat would come into picture, come into play. When we start realizing that whatever we have, which Mother Nature has given to us, needs to be sustained, needs to be conserved. And now linking this with language and literature. Insofar as the language and literature of this country is concerned, we know for a fact that Sanskrit and Tamil, they are treated, or they are considered to be the oldest language of human civilization. And as a country, we have many languages, many classical languages. And in Sanskrit, we have seen that the first sloka, or the first verse of the entire universe, was written in Sanskrit, in Valmiki Ramayana. Likewise, Mahabharata was also a contribution of our country. If you see it in a very peripheral view of the matter, if I may use the word, Mahabharata is nothing but a dispute between two families. But it goes to the credit of the writer, who has presented in such a manner where Krishnji is shown in a different light, where Duryodhan is shown in a different light, where Dhritarashtra is shown in a different light, and it is Sanjaya who is talking about what has happened in Mahabharata. And it talks about how greed led to a war which destroyed everything. And therefore, it cautions us that greed is not a good thing. For that matter, Ramayana has been written in many languages all over India, and the culture of that area has influenced the Ramayana of say, that area. In the pre-Christ era, we have Chanakya, who gave us Arthashastra, and so on and so forth. Professor Kapil Kapoor had dwelt on this in a holistic manner, in a detailed manner. I will not go into this. The point is that our literature is also so vast, and it is full of messages for us as to how to be self-sustaining, how to be Atmanirbhar. And it makes the point that we need to be mindful of what we are, what heritage we have got. The bottom line is we need to believe in ourselves. The culture that we have inherited is that the belief system that we have has to be preserved and conserved. And the day we believe that we are the best, somehow in the past it has happened that there has been a kind of educational system which made us believe that the Western way of thinking was better than the Oriental way of thinking or Indian way of thinking. Thankfully, that process is changing, and the day all of us realize that our way of thinking, our way of leading life is the best, I think would be the day when we would realize that we have become Atmanirbhar, and that would be the greatest contribution that each one of us will make for the fulfillment of an Atmanirbhar Bharat. Thank you. Vande Mataram.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You very rightly and in your own style talked about many things, including nature worship in India.
Thanks, man.
I am delighted here that apart from many other friends and senior scholars, we also have a Vice Chancellor present during our meeting. In this our webinar, Professor Sachidanand Mohanty, who is the new Vice Chancellor, I mean not new basically, for many years of the Central University of Odisha, although I do not know on which device he is logged in, but I can obviously see my elder brother, Sri Bhargav Mitraji, who is going to deliver the valedictory speech. He is a senior counselor in the Embassy of India in Tashkent, and Tashkent is such a beautiful and important place for Indians because our second Prime Minister, Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, at least 59 years ago in 1961 in January, I remember, remember not that I was there, but just that I read about that. And the Prime Minister who started the many revolutions in India, particularly the White Revolution, the revolution for milk. Anyway, because of time, we have been discussing and talking, and we are running a bit late. So over to you, Bhargav Da, for your valedictory speech.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Minister, Madam Smriti Zubin Irani, esteemed speakers, esteemed authors, esteemed bureaucrats, wonderful professors, and all friends who are present here and who have not only taken part in this outstanding event, but they have also thrown light on four things. Four things which sum up, according to me, the entire evening. Is that it has been a matter of discovery, rediscovery, hope, and belief. Now, these four aspects actually sum up what we are and what we are going to be in the time to come. If we go by these four facets of our relationship, of our growth, I don't think anything which is beyond our reach. Madam Minister, apart from thanking the authors who have very correctly and with great effort put together two books which are seminal in nature, she also recalled her very close association with the two authors in various capacities. And she basically termed India, the educational ethos that India presents today, as the cornerstone of what we are. And she also spoke about how self-reliant is at times, misconceptualized or misperceived. Self-reliance, as one of the latest speakers mentioned, is about rediscovering ourselves. The self-reliance, as Mr. Mahapatra very rightly mentioned later, that it has got to do with self-confidence. So Madam Minister also spoke about how the debate about education has been shifting to the medium of experience. She also traced the importance of language of particular academies in India, and how language can become the soul of our being, how language can be honed into us, not only a skill, but a way of life. That is something which is very, very important for all of us. We deal with languages in various capacities, but to make languages as part of our living, part of our being, part of our growth, part of our development is something which must be pursued vigorously and sincerely. She also talked about lifelong learning. Now, lifelong learning is something which we at times lose sight of lifelong learning. We somehow have an opinion that we know a lot, whereas we do not. So everything and every person can be taught by anybody. You can be taught by a rickshawala, you can be taught by a tangiwala, you can be taught by a person whom we really actually do not like and respect, a man on the street, a stranger. At times, I have benefited a lot. One or two words of wisdom, somehow it just comes out of the mouth of somebody. And you latch on to it, it makes a paradigm shift in your life. How does that happen? Unless you have your eyes and ears open. So that is lifelong learning. That faculty must be very clearly mentioned or adapted. She also spoke about Guru Shishya Parampara. This is something that we should not lose sight of. I mean, at times, in the rush for whatever, we lose sight of this. We have to go back to our roots, Guru Shishya Parampara. That was something which was a highlight of whatever she said. And this Guru Shishya Parampara also highlights the quintessential Indian ethos, as she rightly said. And I think all of us believe in that. And that has to be taken forward. Unless we believe that it is quintessentially Indian, we will always keep aping some other culture, some other line of thinking. It is good. Every line of thinking has its own beauty. But then we should not lose sight of our own beauty, own heritage, own richness. That's of paramount importance for all of us. That needs to be followed. She also mentioned very rightly, and I think we are on the cusp of a new India. This generation
will live on and actually constitute India that is going to be there for the next several years, we are at a very important juncture of our lives. We can contribute in more ways than one and make India a great nation. But this takes a lot of hard work. It doesn't really happen like a magic wand. It will happen with a lot of hard work. And that's why these two books, they open a different vista of knowledge, experience. They bring us back to our roots, these two books. And as we will read these two books, we will understand that these two books actually draw us back to our roots. And it is very important, as Mr. Mahapatra also mentioned, that it's time that we come back to our roots. If we go out of our roots, then probably we are doing something else. We just have to take a few things from different cultures, but ultimately we have to make our own roots strong. And that is where self-reliant India comes in. Unless we nurture our own roots, we'll be rootless or we'll be uprooted for whatever. She also spoke about self-reliance. It's not only sitting down and sharing some food, it is sitting down and sharing some thoughts. These are important. You also become self-reliant because you are sharing some thoughts with somebody else. You are listening. You are actually improving yourself. So you are becoming self-reliant. You are learning in the process. So these are very important details. Moving on, I think Professor Rana Singh, he also mentioned about the role of languages in literature, which is very important. And he spoke about the speech of the Honorable President on the occasion of the convocation ceremony of JNU recently, which exemplified how JNU has been growing over the years. And the President himself made a very clear mention about it. The values that JNU exemplifies, personifies. And this is not only because it has come from the President, but we all know it. And President has only highlighted what is correct. And this image of JNU has to be strengthened further. And we are actually the best warriors for doing that, for spreading the right message, despite what is happening at times. It is our joint responsibility to take JNU to a very, very dizzying heights. And that is our contribution in this regard. When he also, Professor Rana Singh also spoke about the Honorable Prime Minister's call. It is important for us to rise to the occasion. And I think we have to rise to the occasion. If we do not do it now, we will never be able to do anything. So we have to rise to the occasion. We have to contribute. And we have to think, across the board, how to take the country forward. It is not one person's responsibility or maybe one entity's responsibility. It is a responsibility, it's a joint responsibility. So these are the things, which the Prime Minister has been saying, fine, but if you really dig into your own conscience, you'll feel that probably he always knew about it. It's not that, the Prime Minister has highlighted, yes, and then suddenly, the concepts have started surfacing. But if we really come look into our own psyche, we'll understand that we always knew about it, but we never bothered to go beyond a point in this rush for whatever. So now those things are coming back to us. So the roots are coming back to us. It is time that we contributed heavily, contributed in our own small space, and then we proceeded further. And when Professor Dhananjay Singh, he spoke about deep insight into the intricacies of literature, he also spoke about how English literature, or any other literature for that matter, has been evolving. And he very importantly spoke about the self of India. The soul of India. We are the soul of India. We have to take the country forward. So the soul of India, the self of India, the self of literature, they somehow amalgamate at some point. So we have to understand that literature is also a way of development. We have to take literature. If we take literature forward, we actually take ourselves forward. If we neglect literature, we are actually neglecting our own self. We are neglecting the society. That we cannot afford to do. So literature cannot be treated differently from our day-to-day life. Life is also literature, Life is a song. That is what has come out. And he also spoke about inner specialities. Each one of us has some speciality. We have to hone those specialities. We have to understand and value our specialty. Unless we don't value ourselves, how do we value anything else? While talking about a book, Madam Subha Sharma very importantly talked about the pressures of work, the stress, at times in the service, we lose sight of the family. Somehow we feel that, work is very important. It is very important. When it is time for us to spend some time with the family, at times we don't compartmentalize that. We somehow feel that, we are working for enrichment of the nation. Yes, we are working. But somehow we have to understand, and I always very strongly maintain this, that our families are playing such an important role behind the scene. Whatever we are today, it is because of our families. And our families, very quietly, even if they are not being taken care of, or even if attention is not being paid to them much, they will somehow keep waiting for that moment to arrive when they will be taken care of. Somebody will go and say, how are you feeling today? We have to master this art of saying, hello, now I'm free, let us have a chat. I'm sitting in some other place. So when Madam spoke about it, Madam Subha Sharma, and she also touched upon how she has been trying to make up for that loss of time. And it's an art. How do you approach the people whom you love? So that commitment or that thinking, because after a while, when it is too late, even if you make an approach, probably it will not be suffice. So I think it is very, very important that we understand, we have to strike that right balance between the family and work. And this is where, the Europeans in many matters, and we see here, the moment the work finishes, they go back to the families. And we stretch our work into the family life, and then we kind of take our families for granted. I mean, that is something which we always do, consciously or unconsciously. She very rightly said, and I'm sure when we read the book that she has written, that is also laced with humor. And I'm sure that book will give us wonderful insight into that. She spoke about the relationships that the book seeks to underscore, and how relationships are balanced and maintained. Very rightly, she mentioned that the book has been a journey for herself. When you write a book, you are on a journey, you are on a self journey. Your book is not, you can't see the book in isolation. A book is a part of your being. You are also actually journeying with the book. You are growing with the book. At the end of the day, when you finish writing a book, you understand how much you have grown as an individual, because you have encapsulated so much, into a book. And you cannot write fake, should not. You write from the heart. There's so much commitment into writing a book. And that is what this book, I'm sure whenever this book reaches all of us, we will be one with the book on this issue. And she would rightly mention that a book is a combination of tastes. Yes, it's a combination of tastes. It's a combination of moods. It's a combination of sentiments. That is what a book is all about. And then when you read a book, you suddenly start feeling that it's a book of my own life. You see your own reflection in the book. That's the beauty of a book. And then you have a huge sense of exhilaration, satisfaction, that yes, I have written something which is worth being written and worth being read. Mr. Bora, we have to go back to YouTube and listen to his TED Talk of 2018. And the first thing I might do after finishing this webinar is to go back to the TED Talk. At times, when we work in the government, we work in the system, we work too hard. We say that we don't have time. It's a very common refrain that we tell people, "Samay nahi hai hamare paas." Very famously, there was an interview of Mr. Mukesh Ambani a couple of years ago, and I was reading it somewhere. The interviewer asked him You are so busy. Every year you take 10, 15 days off and you switch off everything and you go with your family to some destination. How do you manage to do that? Because you cannot have one moment free. He very famously said, I still remember, and I always try to do that in my life. He says कि जिसके पास जो जितना busy है उसके पास उतना समय है. It's amazing. Which means that you delegate work. Which means that even if you are in bureaucracy, it doesn't stop you from pursuing your hobbies. You take some time out of your life to pursue hobbies. You have time to go out for parties. So similarly, Mr. Vora has taken some time out. Madam Shubha Sharma has taken some time out. They are very hectic schedules. They may not come out with all the facts and figures of how busy they have been. But when you talk to them, when you see their fresh faces on screen, you'll understand that इनके पास तो बहुत समय है, which is not true. कोई समय नहीं है, समय निकालते हैं. The art of taking time out of your hectic schedule is something which does not come very easy to people. True. So to write a book with so much hectic schedule is something which is a glorious issue, and we should be very proud of the fact that these two authors, who not only have accomplished themselves in the field of that they're pursuing, but the book, not that the book will be released at what platform. The very fact that they have written books is enough commentary on their commitment, time, vision, and soul that they have given to these books. So hats off to Mr. Vora also. And there's one lamp of 1528 that he mentioned. We have to go and see where is that lamp. And there's so many things about the country that we do not know. And I'm sure these two books also encapsulate what most of us do not know about our own country. We always try to go somewhere else and look for some other country. But we have never made a serious effort to look at what and how much India can offer to us as part of tourism. We have never done it because we don't have time for India. You don't have time for India. That is what the leadership of today is trying to drive home, that you please take some time out for your own country. We have taken time out for so many things in our lives. But this is the time that we need to think about your own country. And when you think about your own country, you are thinking about yourself. When you think about your own literature, you are thinking about yourself. When you talk about other literatures, excellent. We all respect everybody's literature. But have we bothered about Indian literature the way it should have been? Like one of our professors in the Russian, I'm from JNU, Center of Russian Studies, and one of my professors is a prolific writer. He is a translator of Indian poetry into Russian. He always embarks on that why can't we promote our own literature abroad? हम बाहर की literature को translate करते हैं into English and we read that and we feel that this is literature. But have we taken the right step or translating our own literature into foreign language to the level that is desirable? We have to do some introspection on this. Even some of the books that these people have come out with, these authors, if the Western countries, they start reading these books, they will understand that their lives have changed completely. We have to give our literature to them, and the only way it can be done is by getting them translated into a foreign language, so that there's more translation of Indian literature into foreign language. That is how we are actually broadcasting India abroad. We are promoting India abroad. This is one of the finest ways to promote India abroad, is that we promote our literature abroad, where through literature, everybody comes to know about India. Professor Kapil Kapoor's speech was brilliant in more ways than one. The way he chose to delve into the intricacies of literature, the way he delved into the intricacies of human relationships, the way he showered praise on the two young authors. And he said, these books have created the beauty of the surrounding. Yes, these two books have recreated and created the beauty of the surrounding. When you talk about Kaziranga, when you talk about Avasthi, you are recreating the ethos, the beauty of these surroundings. So I think he is very optimistic, he said, about the country's future. He also stressed that the best practices of the country must be preserved and carried forward. He also said that he also traced his wonderful equation with the Honorable Minister. self-dependence is a theme that he continued to harp on and stress on. And I think we must take a leaf out of that book. We have to become self-dependent. And there is a need to dovetail our human wealth, our own strength. That is very important point that he mentioned. And, India is a land of yoga and duty. He stressed upon duty. We call for our rights. We lose sight of our duties. Duty is something, which can be very conveniently pushed into the background. But if you only ask for rights and freedom without doing your duty, you're not doing justice to the system and justice to your own self. Ambassador Abhay Kumar also spoke about anthems. And now anthems is something you can overhear the Shankha Dhwani in my house, which my wife is. We have puja and all that every Sandhya. So this is also part of our culture, and we are here in Tashkent. We are promoting. We always play Shankh in case there's a puja in the house, so everybody comes to know. Somebody asks, "ये क्या है?" कि Shankh है. When it is played, ऐसा कि ऐसे occasion पे हम लोग करते हैं, when there's something religious, pious, we are always inculcating. We are always giving something back to to whomsoever we feel like. Ambassador Abhay Kumar also spoke about the anthems and the importance of them. And the proposal that he has made, Madam Minister has spoken about, referred to them. And I think these are seminal proposals. These proposals, if they are accepted, they will go a very, very long way to push a few ideas, push India in a different manner at the global front. And it is time, probably, that we make a few significant presence remarks or presence at the global forum through these ideas which he has propounded. And he said there is no anthem for Mother Earth. We draw everything out of Mother. And we give everything which is bad to Mother Earth. We have never done justice to Mother Earth. It's only a one-way process that only we have extracted. We have extracted wealth. We have extracted happiness. We have extracted anything. But how much we have given to Earth is something which is important. And it is time that through an anthem, we give something back to Earth. But then again, it has to go beyond anthem. It has to be translated into some serious work. So these proposals are very important. And Mr. Sandeep Mahapatra said at the outset that he linked self-reliant India to how much self-confidence that you have in making this happen. And I think this is something which is very important. Are we self-confident? Are we ready to go? Are we ready to lead this country into a different zone? If the answer is yes, we are doing a great service, not to anybody else, but to our own selves. And it is time that we give something back to this country, which has given us so much. Back to the institution that JNU, I always say, I have done nothing for JNU. How much we have done for JNU? It is such an institution, it has actually made us what we are today. So we have to give something back to the alma mater. We have to give something back to the country. And how do we give something back to the country? By actually making the country grow. They're making the country grow with dignity. And that can be done only when you are self-reliant. And self-reliant is not a term which is to be associated only with Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. No. It's a term which should have been there from time immemorial. He has given it a thought. He has pushed it to the foreground. But we always knew about it. There's nothing which is unique. It is time that we realize that. Not because the Prime Minister has told us to do so. No. It is because it is our esteemed duty, solemn duty to do so. So writing a book is also becoming self-reliant. You are confident, you are writing a book, you are contributing, you are holding the culture of one place. You are showcasing it. That's something very important. Briefly, I think this was the crux of what we discussed today. And I think it was wonderful being a part of this. So with these words, I'll hand over back to Yukteswar ji. Thank you so much for giving me the floor.
Thank you so much. Just to say that one of my devices was not working, so I will speak from this one. So I always have a plan B. So if plan A fails, I have something. Now I have the honor and pleasure to invite Sri Vinod Kumar Singh ji, who is the Vice President of Alumni Association of JNU. Everybody spoke very brilliantly, so I am not going to talk and discuss and waste your time further because we are running late. Vinod Kumar Singh ji is obviously an IRS officer, and he studied at JNU, so he would like to extend the vote of thanks to everybody. So floor is yours, Vinod ji.
Thank you. Thank you, friends. Before giving my vote of thanks, I would like to tell a few words on the role of language, literature, and culture for self-reliant India. It has two meanings. Firstly, the role of language, literature, and culture for making India self-reliant. The another meaning that can be self-reliant in language, literature, and culture. We can be self-reliant in language, literature, and culture. We have recently got the bust of Swami Vivekananda inaugurated in the campus of JNU. I remember his words that you roam over the entire world, Vivekananda has said, but keep your feet rooted in India. Go everywhere, learn from every places, but your thought, your deeds, your action, your sentiments should come from India. So the language, literature, and culture, we should be self-reliant in that aspect also. Just I am adding, because my learned predecessors, Bhargav Mitra has told everything. He has covered such an exhaustive manner that very few is left. But I just emphasize that we should be self-reliant. We should try to be self-reliant in every aspect, in economy, in goods, in productions, in technology. But we can be self-reliant in our culture. We should not look towards the alien culture. Wherever it is very necessary, we can learn from them. But our roots should be based in our culture. I give my thanks to the Honorable Chief Guest Smriti Jubin Irani ji, Honorable Union Minister for Textile, Women and Child Welfare, Government of India, for making this event successful. I give thanks to all my friends and all JNU alumni. I especially give my thanks to Shubha Sharma ji, who through her book Avasthis of Amnagri, I have not got the opportunity to read her entire novel, but it's a fiction of languages. It is the magic of words, and it gives the aroma of our soil. ऐसा लगता है कि वो अपनी मिट्टी से बहुत कुछ जुड़ी हुई हैं, और जिस मिट्टी में पली है उसकी सुगंध उनकी साहित्य में है, उनके भाषाओं में है. हालांकि ये अंग्रेजी में लिखी गई है, फिर भी जो भारतीयता की सुगंध है उसके पग पग में है, उसके कण कण में है. और इतनी अच्छी किताब लिखने के लिए मैं उन्हें थैंक्स देता हूं, और भाग लेने के लिए JNU एलुमनाई एसोसिएशन के प्लेटफॉर्म पर उसके रिलीज का स्वागत है, और हम उनको इसके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देते हैं. इसके बाद पद्मपानी बोरा जी, जिन्होंने असम पर लिखा है, उनका जो कवरेज है, मुझे लगता है कि ये सिंगल बुक है जिसमें एक जगह पर इतनी सारी चीजें मिल जाती है. असम के बारे में जानना हमें बहुत बाकी है, जैसा कि हमारे फ्रेंड ने पहले अभी कहा है कि भारत के बारे में जानना, भारत लुक टुवर्ड्स इंडिया. तो इसके लिए ये बहुत अच्छी किताब है, और हम कोशिश करेंगे कि जल्द से जल्द ये पुस्तक हमें उपलब्ध हो जाए. और हम बोरा साहब को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देते हैं कि इतनी सुंदर जो सूचना है, इतनी अच्छी किताब है, वो हम लोगों के लिए उपलब्ध कराए.
और इस तरह से वो अपने जीवन में और भी पुस्तक जो है सो लिखते रहें और हमारे संस्थान को, हमारे देश को गौरवान्वित करता रहें। फिर मैं अपना धन्यवाद जो है सो श्री राजेश कुमार जी, प्रेसिडेंट एलुमनाई एसोसिएशन को देता हूं कि उन्होंने इतनी दूरी में रह के भी चीज़ों को इतना अच्छा ऑर्गेनाइज किया। धीरज जी को देता हूं और जो ऑर्गेनाइजिंग कमेटी है उनको देता हूं। प्रोफेसर राणा प्रताप सिंह जी को मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूं कि उन्होंने भाग लिया और उन्होंने जो अपने सुंदर भाषण से जो अपना इनपुट दिया हम लोगों के ज्ञानवर्धन के लिए, वो सराहनीय है। प्रोफेसर कपिल कपूर जी को मैं धन्यवाद देता हूं। इतने सीनियर होते हुए भी चीजों पर इतनी पकड़, इतना अच्छा फ्लो, और उनकी एक पंक्ति मुझे अभी भी याद है कि भारत के समाज के संविधान में ड्यूटी को ही फंडामेंटल माना गया है। ये याद रखने की चीज है। और अधिकार जो है, फंडामेंटल राइट्स जो है वो लेने के लिए है, लेकिन वो मिलता है जब हम अपनी ड्यूटी ठीक से करते हैं। तो सारी बातों को कहना संभव नहीं है, लेकिन कपिल कपूर साहब को सौभाग्यशाली है कि हम लोग उनको देख रहे हैं। हम लोगों को सौभाग्य है उनके दर्शन का, उनकी वाणी सुनने का, और उनके जो अतुलनीय योगदान है उसके लिए मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूं और हम लोगों के बीच आने के लिए, पार्टिसिपेट करने के लिए। इसके बाद अभय कुमार जी आईएफएस को मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूं। उन्होंने जो यूएन के लिए प्रपोजल दिया वसुधैव कुटुंबकम का, और इसके साथ भी अन्य जो प्रपोजल दिया उसको रिकॉर्ड में रखना चाहिए हमें। मेरा प्रस्ताव है कि जो एलुमनाई एसोसिएशन है वो भी उसको अपने रिकॉर्ड में रखें। और भारत की जो मंत्र है कि अयं निज परोवेत गरुणा लघुचेतसांग उदार चरितानाम वसुधैव कुटुंबकम, तो ये अपने आप में एक यूनिक चीज है, क्योंकि हम अभी से नहीं, हम शुरू से ही, हमारी संस्कृति का अंग है कि हम पूरी दुनिया को अपना कुटुंब मानते रहे हैं। हम केवल अपने लिए, अपने स्वार्थ के लिए अपने तक सीमित नहीं रहे हैं। ये बहुत सुंदर उक्ति है उनका, बहुत अच्छा प्रस्ताव है। और ये अगर संयुक्त राष्ट्र संघ में लगे या भारत की इस बात को दुनिया के लोगों को पता लगे तो ये बहुत बड़ी बात होगी, बहुत अच्छी बात होगी। और प्रोफेसर धनंजय कुमार जी को मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूं। वो जेएनयू से हैं और हमारे एलुमनाई रहे हैं, और उनकी ये कहना कि शब्दों में जो है, जो शब्द छूट जाते हैं उसका उन्होंने जो आध्यात्मिक व्याख्या की है, शब्दों में जान होता है और शब्द जो है हम एक दूसरे से पाते हैं। इस पर हम और भी सुनना चाहेंगे। हमें लगता है कि आज का समय बहुत ही कम था और इस विषय पर पूरा ही सेशन आयोजित किया जा सकता है, और मेरा उनसे आग्रह है कि वो एक वेबिनार इस पर, इसके थीम पर आयोजित करें और एलुमनाई एसोसिएशन को साथ में लें और हम लोग इस पर अलग से टॉक करें। ये जस्ट मेरा आग्रह है, लेकिन उनके योगदान के लिए, उनके उत्साहपूर्ण भागीदारी के लिए हम बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देते हैं। इसके बाद हम गोपाल परिहार जी को धन्यवाद देते हैं, मनीष कुमार जी को देते हैं, मीता नारायण जी को, प्रोफेसर मीता नारायण जी को, डॉक्टर रजनीश मिश्रा जी को, श्री प्रियव्रत जी को जो ऑस्ट्रेलिया से हैं और हम लोगों के बीच में मतलब भाग ले रहे हैं, और सबसे लास्ट में लेकिन नोट लिस्ट युक्तेश्वर कुमार जी को मेरा बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कि उन्होंने हम लोगों के काफ़ी सारे वेबिनार्स में अपना योगदान देके उसको सफल बनाया है। हिज कंट्रीब्यूशन हैज़ बीन अनपैरेलल्ड and he has compared, he has announced it, he has directed our event, और उनको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। इसके साथ ही मैं एलुमनाई एसोसिएशन और जो हमारे जितने एलुमनाई इसमें भाग लिए हैं उन सबको मैं धन्यवाद देता हूं। और मेरा एक आग्रह है कि हमारे जो, जैसा कि प्रेसिडेंट राजेश कुमार जी भी बोले हैं अपने स्पीच में, अधिक से अधिक सदस्य बने हम लोग। एलुमनाई हम तो हैं, हम एक तरह से नॉन फंक्शनल सदस्य भी हैं, भाग भी लेते हैं, कभी भी भाग ले सकते हैं, लेकिन हम उनके मेंबर बने। हमारे पास फॉर्म उपलब्ध है, महीप जी के पास है। अधिक से अधिक संख्या में अपने मित्रों को, जेएनयू एलुमनाई को प्रोत्साहित करें कि भाग लें और सदस्य बने। 80,000 से ज़्यादा एलुमनी है हमारे जेएनयू में, जैसा कि माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी ने भी अभी जेएनयू के जो कन्वोकेशन के अवसर पर बताया लेकिन हमारी जो सदस्यता है वो अभी भी बहुत कम है, कुछ नहीं है, जस्ट मीगर है, 400-500 600 है। तो हमारे सदस्य बढ़े, 5 से 5000 हो, 5000 से 50,000 हो। और मैं इस मंच को का उपयोग करना चाह रहा हूँ इस आग्रह के साथ कि हमारे जो एलुमनाई हैं ये अधिक से अधिक उसका प्रचार करें। इसके साथ ही मैं सबका धन्यवाद व्यक्त करता हूँ जिन्होंने भाग लिया, जिन्होंने सुना और इस प्रोग्राम को सफल बनाया। धन्यवाद, मेरा बहुत बहुत प्रणाम।
धन्यवाद विनोद जी, कितनी अच्छी बातें आपने कही सबके बारे में, और आपका जो वक्तव्य है लाजवाब रहा। बहुत ही खुशी की बात है, और मैं आपकी बातों को पुनः दोहराना चाहूंगा in English as well, that those friends, I'm sure you studied at JNU and some of you are working at JNU, and we must try that at least we make 5 of our friends or classmates as the life member of Alumni Association of our university. मातृभूमि, माता और अपना विश्वविद्यालय सब एक ही जैसे के हैं, और हम सब उस विश्वविद्यालय में पढ़े हैं, कुछ लोग पढ़ा रहे हैं, तो हम लोग सब भाई बहन हैं। और इसलिए मैं हमेशा जब भी कभी लिखता हूँ तो आप सबको भाई बहन और हमेशा भाई बहन की तरह ही समझते हैं। तो आप अपने जो आपके क्लासमेट्स हैं कम से कम 3-4 लोगों को और जोड़े। थैंक यू वेरी मच। हम लोग 1 घंटा करीब ज्यादा ये प्रोग्राम चला। I could understand that some people can see that the program is a bit longer. We are not maintaining time. We started exactly at 4 o'clock, but you know, people have to say, and it is an honor. It is Sunday, an honor for us that we had people like Professor Kapil Kapoor, our guru, people like the Honorable Minister, the youngest minister today, and IFS, IAS, and poets. So, as the tradition is, after every program we have our anthem, the national anthem. So I will kindly and humbly ask the co-host, the people who are in charge of this national anthem, to play the national anthem. And I will also request everybody that in respect of our country, we all stand up, please. Even if you can, please stand up. And that is our respect to our country.
यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधितरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे
Thank you very much. A melody that binds, that unites the whole nation. So thank you, everybody. I once again apologize for a 1 hour long program, but as you can understand, hopefully this will inspire you all in some way. whether you are author, poet, chancellor, vice chancellors, or bureaucrats. We all learn from each other, and I have always realized that we can learn from anybody. And here in the August presence, there were literally over 60-65 people in the beginning, and even now we have almost 40 people. So thank you very much. God bless you all, and thank you. Jai Hind. Bye bye. The program.
Thank you very much.
At conclusion at this. Thank you.
बहुत
Thank you.
thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आप सबका।
आप सबों को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
बहुत धन्यवाद।
Much.
बढ़िया संचालन बहुत अच्छा।
कपिल सर नमस्कार।
हाँ।
थैंक यू सर। आप म्यूट
सर
थोड़ा अनम्यूट कर लें सर।
सर नमस्ते। मैं मीता, आपको ध्यान होगा 1999 में। सर आप म्यूट है।
अनम्यूट थोड़ा कर लीजिए सर, थोड़ा सा ना उसको क्लिक वो कर लीजिए, अनम्यूट कर दीजिए सर।
कार्यक्रम आप लोगों का बहुत अच्छा था, स्पेशली जेएनयू के भाषा विभाग के लिए ये बहुत गर्व की बात है कि आप लोगों ने इस तरह का भाषा, कल्चर और लिटरेचर के ऊपर ये सोच रखी, क्योंकि हम अपने माध्यम से कुछ ना कुछ करने का प्रयास करते हैं अपने सेंटर्स में, सिर्फ अपनी भाषाओं में नहीं मगर विदेशी भाषाओं में भी। तो ये एक बहुत अनिवार्य टॉपिक है और इसमें शायद हम अलग भी कुछ छोटे टॉपिक्स पे कर सकते हैं।
इसमें एक रिक्वेस्ट है, अभी हमने ऑफलेट एसईएस में किया था
जी
एनवायरनमेंट में, जिसमें एक सेंटर वाइज आल्सो यू कैन ऑर्गेनाइज a program on how a center can contribute towards self-reliant India, number one. And secondly, we can felicitate our superannuated gurus also. ये अभी हमने ऑफलेट 15 दिन पहले एसईएस में किया था, जो हमारे
हमने देखा था
पुराने
ऐसा एसईएस में किया था।
So the same model can be replicated